Hello techies, I'm Divya here. On behalf of CyberBrainer, don't you think the world of tech is evolving faster than ever? Now is the perfect time to dive in and build the skills that will take you places. With CyberBrainer, we are putting you in the driver's seat of your own future. We at CyberBrainer don't just teach your interest. We believe that knowledge is power, but it's applied knowledge that truly sets you apart. Whether you're diving into data science, mastering artificial intelligence, or exploring the world of cybersecurity, our courses are designed to give you the skills that matter. So let's jump into the session and make the future yours today. Thank you.
This is our Workday product. As you might know, that Workday is a software as a service or a SaaS product. Now, anyone who is not aware of what is a SaaS product, but I mean you want me to talk about what is a SaaS product, there are many applications, software applications. Can be on-prem, which is on-premise or as a service. Now, what is an on-prem or on-premise software? An on-premise software is something that you have installed or the organizations have installed on their servers. They do the maintenance. They do the upgrades. Everything, for example, you have Microsoft Word or Microsoft Office installed on your computer. Who will do the upgrades? The Microsoft will recommend some upgrades, but you are the one who is going to do it. It's your computer. You have to upgrade that product by yourself. You have to maintain the RAM, the laptop, or the desktop computer. Correct. Now let's say if Microsoft comes up with a very new product and your computer is not able to support that, but you want to use that new product, then maybe you have to upgrade your laptop. As all the maintenance, everything related to that product is dependent on you because you have installed that particular application on your system. It is an on-premise. It is sitting on your system now. Contrast that with, let's say, the Gmail application, or maybe now the Office 365 subscription, or maybe the Outlook on the web. Do you care about upgrades made to Gmail? Is it? Do you have to take some action on your side? No, you just log into the browser and you enter a user ID and password, and there it is. You have the new and upgraded Gmail. Every time the Google Mail or even the Outlook on the web it upgrades, it is actually transparent to you. You use it just as service, correct? You do not have to upgrade your computer. You do not have to. Spend some time reading and understanding what are the upgrades and how that impacts it. You don't have to do that. You just log into that application and there you have it. Software as a service application is something that you just pay and use. You pay a subscription and you use Gmail is free, but some of the other business applications have to be paid for. Workday is one such application. The maintenance, the upgrades, the new features, etc. are all taken care of by Workday, the organization who are using Workday. They don't have to keep they don't have to maintain their servers. They don't have to maintain any hardware to install and run Workday. All of that is taken care of by the company one day itself. Organizations who are using Workday, they will just log into the system and use it. This is what makes it a very compelling product or very popular product among small organizations, medium organizations, as are some large organizations, because they don't have to spend a lot of money to have people to upgrade the servers, maintain databases, work on the new features, etc. They pay the money and get the product. That's why it is called a software as a service product. Workday is now one of the most popular HCM software as a service products in the market. There are other products Oracle Fusion. There is PeopleSoft, of course, and then there is a SAP SuccessFactors, and there are other smaller products as. But Workday has been gaining a lot of popularity over the last 5-6 years. And as of now, it is one of the market leaders as per the Gartner reports, and itself, it is one of the most popular HCM products out there in the market. Now Workday is an HCM product. Primarily that is where it is. That is what it is most famous for. But Workday also has a very strong finance module, and now it has recently started a supply chain management module for its hospitals and other healthcare businesses, but primarily Workday is known for its Workday HCM product, which is human capital management. Now every organization, when we say it deals with its employees and contingent workers, the people who work for the organization. Now, when you say people who work for the organization or the HCM product, what are the typical things you expect an HCM product to do for you? What is an HCM? The XTM product, what are the things that it does? People who have experience with it. Payroll, yes, payroll can be one of the things that the XTM product does. Yes, recruitment, correct. Yes, important thing. What else again? The leave management, attendance. Absence leave. Management, yes, but these are definitely very, very important and useful functions, but primarily an HCM product. Can we call it as the system of record of all your employees and contingent workers, for example, and contractors in that product you have. The employee information when they joined. Who is the manager? What is their department? What is their location? What is their pay? What are they authorized to do? What are they supposed to do? And of course, you all said it can be a product which takes care about the time and absence. If an employee wants to go on a leave, the system should show to the employee what is their leave balance. You have to configure that for their leaves, and then once the employee applies for a leave, then what happens? It goes through an approval process. It goes to his manager, and then the manager approves it, and then the employee can go on and leave, correct? There are many different things that an HCM product can do. In this particular training session, we are going to talk about the fundamentals of Workday HCM configurations. What are the things we are going to do to configure Workday and set up an organization? We are not going to be trained as users. We are going to be trained as configurators. All before I proceed, there are a couple of people who are getting in that they are not able to hear. I just wanted to make sure all thank you. As part of this course, I was saying we are going to be trained to become as configurators. We are going to behave what the consultants we are going to get requirements from our functional users, from our business users who may not be versed with working, and then we will learn how we can configure those things in working. Let's say a new person joins. What will be the change to the organization hierarchy? How to first of all hire a new person using Workday, how to configure that, and then you'll configure the way a new person is going to be hired that the business can then go ahead and keep hiring new people. You are going to define the process in Workday. You are going to learn how you create reports. In Workday, you are going to learn about how to overall configure the layout, the organization, structure and everything in Workday. All first of all, let's take a look at the product. It's an absolutely brand new look and feel that we are seeing here. This is the new look and feel that is going to be very common starting from March 2022 because this is the 2022 release 1. All since I mentioned release 1, let me quickly talk about the release cycles in Workday. I said a software as a service product will automatically upgrade for you. I mean an organization who has subscribed to Workday, who has bought Workday. They don't need to spend a lot of money on resources and people to help to upgrade Workday, always upgrades its product and anybody who is subscribing to work to any organization that is using Workday will always get the latest and the greatest product. They will always have the latest version. You cannot be on a previous version. You have all. Organizations will be on the latest and the greatest version that is released. Having said that, there are 2 times a year when Workday will push its upgrades. Once the first one is called the R1 of the year, this is 2022, we will call the first release as 2022 R1 and then the next release will be called 2022 R2. Now the R1 comes up at around this February, March, April time frame and the R2 will come around in September, October time frame. Workday gives you a month to test all your different configurations, reports, etc. on the new version and then it pushes the upgrade in the production system in the live system and we all get to see all the users in the organization will start to see the new look and feel of the product. It happens twice a year. Now let's take a quick look at the product itself. I said what there is an HCM product and it is a system of record. You see a big search bar at the top of your screen. In the top middle of your screen, here practically you can search for anything and everything that you are that is existing in world in this particular product. Let's say I want to search for an employee. I want to search for a particular worker. Now let's say I want to search for Steve Morgan. I want to search for Steve Morgan. This is the particular worker, Steve Morgan. If you just look at this, let me increase the font a little bit for easy viewing now. Can you tell me what is his business title? Who is Steve Morgan? A project manager, VP. He is a vice president. Somebody says project manager. Somebody says vice president. Somebody. Vice president. What is this title? What is this business title? Vice president, PMHR. He HR vice president. That is, as per this particular business title, it's there on the screen now. Now, can you tell me what is his employee ID? It too. And what is? Where is he located and when was he hired? 21. The original hire date is 1/1/2000, 1/1/2000. He was hired way back in 2000 and then maybe he left and then he was hired again on the 30th of September 2021 and he has been in this position for around 5 months and 3 days and we also have his contact information. We have his phone number, we have his email address and we also have his work address. We see where is his office, what is his work, work address. We also have his skills. He is good at deal execution, operational execution, and punpil, responsibility. You see, just by looking at this summary page, we can tell. A few things about this particular worker. Where did he do his college? He did his MBA in business administration from Northwestern University. This is a summary of the worker if you want to have more details. Let's say I want to have some more details about his job. I can click on this job tab and I can see all the different jobs that he has with the organization. He may have one primary job. He may have a secondary job with more than one jobs as but the other details for that you will get in the jobs tab. Similarly, if you look at his job history, manager history, what is his management chain? Who are the workers he reports to? All of that will be available in the different tabs, sure. For example, say I have hired Steve Morgan. Basically, I'll pick all these details. Important, good question now. You have hired. When you say you have hired, meaning maybe you were part of the recruitment process, or maybe you are. Who has updated all these details? How do we get all these details correct? Now there are two ways in which updated. Now one is of course part of the job of what one is system generated. Let's say she's hired into a location. First we create the location, we configure the location. Anybody who is on that location, of course, have the same work address whenever we are hiring a worker. Whenever we are hiring a worker, the date that the worker is hired will be system. We will just select. In the system, some of the things are entered at the time of the process. That is happening, and some of the information can be updated by the worker themselves. That let's say his education. Who is the best person to update his education? Maybe himself, because he is the one who knows his grades, the year he did the education, the institute he did his education from. What about the tab? I am in the contact information now. Who is the best person to identify his home contact information, or maybe his emergency contact information? Probably the worker himself. It's the best person to be able to do that. It is a mix. Sometimes there is organizational data, and of course there is some personal data as what kind of software are we going to use it as a HCM consultant. This is a software. This is not an on-premise. You don't need to install anything on your system to be able to access Workday. You log into a browser. And there it is now. You might be wondering if you log into a browser and then we get to a product, then is it one system for everybody? All the organization, let's say a Walmart or a Lowe's, or everybody will get to see one server on one particular application? The answer is no. There is something called as a tenant. We'll talk about tenant when we start our class, probably next week. Then I will first of all start by talking to you about what is a tenant, and then what is and how do we do the tenant management. Just for a quick move. It's just one thing. A tenant is your instance of the product. Within a tenant, you have your organization's data. There will be a tenant for Walmart. There will be a tenant for let's say Lowe's, one for Bank of America. Bank of America has subscribed to Workday. Let's say will have their own instance of the product where they will have their employee data. All their employees will log into that system. You will have a separate link for that. You will log into that system, and there you will see all the employee information of Bank of America. Go ahead with your question. Which means each user is known as a tenant. In this case, no each user. When you say each user means the worker, the employee or organization as a whole, company which has the people who have subscribed to Workday here individually, individual users will not subscribe to Workday. Unlike Google Mail, where let's say Gmail, you have opened the Gmail account. You are the subscriber. No, but here I mean that is true when you do Gmail. But let's say an HCM product. An organization has subscribed for this HCM product. They are the ones who are using it. It's a business product. That's why it's an organization which has subscribed to Workday. Yes, each organization's data will be in a separate tenant. Any questions far? Yes, I had one. How long does it take for us to understand HCM and be able to start applying for jobs? I will talk about that. I'll talk about the course, outline the duration of the course, and maybe your prospects after you complete the course. Yes, I will cover that. Let's quickly see what the product can do, what we typically do with this product. You see, here we have the water information. Now let's say I want to see what is this compensation. I will click on the compensation tab and then we will be able to see his total salary allowances, total cost for the company. What is the company he's a part of? What are the different merit plans or bonus plans that is assigned to this particular worker? We can look at this worker and we can see what are the different things, what are the different plans or the compensation packages that is assigned to this particular worker. Now let's say I want to find all the workers. I don't know the names of all the workers. It's not possible. Let's say I want to find a worker who matches a certain criterion. I can use a report called find workers and then it will run and it will give me a menu option where I can actually look for workers. You see how many workers are there in this particular system. 26600, correct? 2T651 workers are there in the system. And what does this screen remind you of? You have the results here and then you have probably some filtered criteria on the left of your screen. What does this remind you of? Maybe if you click on some of these parameters, you see the results on the changes, or it is narrowed down. It is filtered down to 26 results because I chose something on the left. What does this remind you of? The B2B websites, Amazon, and those things where you actually you go there and you can narrow down your search results based on some filtered criteria. Maybe you're looking for a new laptop, or you're looking for a new phone. Maybe just you are just shopping for some dress. You first of all enter a broad criteria, let's say t-shirts. And then you have the ability to filter it down. Let's say I want a t-shirt for men, and then you click on men on the left and then you choose the color. Let's say I want a t-shirt in black color. Maybe I'll choose black. And I will choose a particular size on the left. I will choose certain filters on the left and then it will narrow down the results for me in the main window or maintain, and then I can choose whichever I am looking for. Now you see between 41 to 50 age group I have around 26 people, and then let's say I want to further select anything based on their degrees. Let's say I want an MBA candidate. Out of 260-51 people we started with, I'm left with one. Maybe I'm looking for a person in the 46 to 50 or 41 to 50 age group who has an MBA. Here is my worker. Correct. You see, this is a report. This is one of the many different reports that we will see as part of our course, and we will also learn how to create these interesting reports. You see, we could square. In the system we could, without knowing much about the system. Without knowing much about the workers or the other population in this particular system. Using a certain report, I was able to find out a lot of information. Now, if I click on Logan McNeil, again I would see information that is similar to what we saw for Steve. Here we are looking at Logan McLean again. Here we have all of her information. QSQ was hired on the 1st of January 2000. She has been with the organization for 22 years 2 months, and this is her contact information. This is her work address or skills. Leave history, compensation. Every single piece of information pertaining to this particular worker, her system of record, it is mentioned here in Workday. The person's profile is logged in the same as the one that you pulled out. It shows your own details. It's sorry, what details? I see that Logan McNeil is a person who owns this page, who is logged in because the profile picture. Oh, yes, I am logged in as Logan McNeil. I am logged in on behalf of Logan McNeil. It's kind of a coincidence that I'm logged in as Logan. But on the search criteria, I also got Logan as the worker. Logan can also view this information if she clicks on her own profile. If she clicks on her own profile, she will be seeing the same page. She is seeing her own page. But now you may be wondering, I'm seeing a lot of information here. Let's say compensation, and she's able to see the compensation. If you remember, Logan was also able to see the compensation for Steve Morgan. Now, does that mean that anybody can see the information for any other worker? No, not everyone. Not everyone. Why? Or why not? Why won't we be able to see everybody's information? What will stop us? Restriction, yes. Security. Now let's say we asked what we are typically able to see our leave history, our emergency contact information. In the system, our compensation information, we are able to see our manager information. But now let's say, can we see the compensation information of our colleague? Let's say I want to see my colleagues in for compensation. If I just want to know how much money he or she is making, I cannot do that. But maybe as a manager, can I look at the compensation of my director? Probably yes. Probably yes. I will be able to do that. What allows me to do that? What are the organization access requests? Access request. That is what allows me to view that. Let's not get too much ahead of ourselves. Supervisory organization, and it's come to those topics in due course. But yes, the access allows us to do that now. Can a manager terminate an employee? Yes, it depends on that provided or not. Correct. It depends on the access provided to the manager. Typically, a manager will have the access at least to initiate the termination. It might go through several other processes, several approvals, etc. But at least the manager can initiate that, isn't it? Can an employee terminate his or her manager? No, we will love to do that. No, unfortunately. But then I mean what? What stops us from terminating our own managers? Again, I access rest. We are not authorized to do that. We are not authorized to do that. We are not authorized to terminate our own managers. What are the tasks you're authorized to? Do what you are allowed to do. What you are not allowed to do is controlled by the security permissive. In what? What is the data you are allowed to view and what are the tasks you are allowed to do? That is controlled by security. We will talk about the different security permissions or security, the way workplace security works, and we will try to understand that, and then we will configure that as part of the course. Having said that, I think it's time that we quickly look at the different topics that we are going to cover as part of the course. The time that it will take. I mean the duration of the course and the way we are going to do it. Let me do this for better readability. This is going to be our Workday Techno-Functional course content. We are going to have sessions for 6 weeks, typically 6.5. Sometimes we stretch because of some questions or maybe some unplanned or maybe some public holidays, etc. Typically we take 6 weeks. It can be a week here and there. It can be 6.5 to 7 weeks. But typically we try to complete by 6 weeks, 1 hour per day, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday IST. If you are joining us from us, it will be Sunday evening till Thursday evening for us people, but for India. But if you are further on towards the east, Australia, Singapore, it is Monday to Friday for you, Monday to Friday in the morning. The reason we are not able to do on, let's say, Friday evening, us time is that's because that's when Workday is down for maintenance. Every week, all the weekly features, upgrades, bug fixes, etc. are put into the system at the end of Friday. It's Workday's way of telling you, come on, you had a busy week, tough week. Go and take a break. Friday evening us time system will be down for maintenance. That's why we cover Monday to Friday IST in the mornings. That means Sunday night too. Thursday night US time. Here is the course agenda. We will start with the core concepts. We will start with what is the basics of Workday, what a business object. What do we mean by the different core concepts in Workday and how to navigate in Workday. This is a new product for a lot of you. Some of you may have seen this in the past. You may have heard about it. You may have seen videos. You may have used it. Maybe you are familiar with the navigation. But for a vast majority of you, it might be a new product. We need to understand how we navigate, how we find our way in the system, how to do the tasks, how to configure something. We will learn about the navigation. Then we will start talking about the different organizations in Workday. How do we configure the different types of organized? What are the different types of organizations? For example, supervisory organization, a company, a location, a cost center. What are these and how do we configure all of that? Then we will look at defining the staffing models, how the workers will be staffed or how these organizations will be staffed. For example, you created a department, you have created a new department. Let's say information technology, or maybe you've created a new department called sales and distribution. Now, how are you going to bring in people to that particular department? You are going to hire some people, or maybe you are going to bring in some contingent workers in that particular department. How you are going to do that? You define a framework, and that is the staffing model. Then we will create jobs and positions. We will know how to create those jobs and positions in our system. You see where we are going with this. And then we define the compensation that we are going to assign to our workers, and then actually we are going to start hiring. We are going to bring in people into the different organizations that we have created. We will bring in workers, we will hire workers, and then we will talk about the security. I said who is supposed, who is authorized to do what, who is authorized to view what, the compensation information. We are going to be able to view our own compensation information, but we are not able to view the compensation of my colleague. What stops us from doing that, or what allows me to view something versus something else? We will talk about that as how to configure security. We will understand how workplace security works, then we will talk about the business processes. The business processes is a very key concept in Workday because that will define the series of steps that needs to happen to achieve a business objective. For example, you are going to hire a worker, or maybe let's go for a simple one. Let's say applying for leave. You as a worker are going to apply for a leave. Can anyone tell me what typically happens if you are applying for a leave? Send a request to the manager. You send first of all, you initiate, you are the one who is initiating a leave request. And once you initiate that request, then what happens? It goes to your manager. Why? Why is it going to your manager for their approval? Because that manager is there in the hierarchy. That manager is typically one level above or one level on top of the particular worker. The immediate manager, it goes to that manager for approval. And then what can the manager do? They can approve, reject, or maybe can send it back to you for revision. They can say what you have asked for a leave on the 11th of March, but can you change it to the 15th of March, for example? They can send it back to you for revision, but then you put your foot down and say, no, I want to go on 11th. And then you send it back. You discuss with the manager, and then the manager maybe agrees and approves. And then what happens? Maybe it goes to the HR team for their review, because you might be taking too many leaves this year. Later must be aware that you have run out of your leaves balances. If you run out of your leave balance, that what can happen? Maybe there will be a lot of loss of space. There can be a loss of pay that you are not supposed to take these many leaves. Let's say if your leave exceeds your quota or allowance or your leave limit for that year. Then what happens? Maybe there is a loss of pay. Who needs to be informed if there is a loss of pay? The payroll team employee. Of course, yes, because her team and also maybe the payroll. Team, hey, payroll team, this employee is taking too much leave, deduct some money from their pay. The employee, the payroll team might need to be involved now. Having said that, now can you tell me if this process specific to you or it for everybody in that particular organization? It is same for everybody in that particular. It's not specific to you. There is no biasness towards you. That only. For you, it goes for approval. For the rest of the employees, if they can take any leave they want. No, it's not that. It's the same for everybody. It is a process. It is the way the business operates. It's the way that they have set up their processes. That is what we will configure in Workday. And what is the business process then? It is a sequence of events. It's a sequence of tasks that needs to happen to achieve a business objective. That is what we will see, how we can configure that, how we design those processes in Workday. How do we send something for approval? We do review and Then how do we do all these conditional checks? We will see how we configure business processes. Then we move to the technical part of the course. Now don't be too scared about technical. It is actually something to do where we create reports. Now reports again is for everybody. You want to become a functional consultant. You want to become a technical consultant, anything for all of us. Reports is very, very important. We need to be able to use reports to get the data from the system. I ran a report called Find Workers. I ran it to get some information from the system. We need to be able to create those reports to get or to query data from the particular system. We will talk about the data sources. How Workday stores its data, that we are able to extract the data that we need to create the reports. We will talk about that then. Once we know how to create reports, also talk about calculated fields. Now, calculated fields is something that is specific to Workday now. This will allow you to do different calculations, data manipulations within working. Sometimes you need the data just in a different format. Maybe you need the data where you need the employees name in uppercase or maybe in lowercase, maybe just a requirement. What? They will not be able to cater to all those requirements based on your typical requirement. You are given the tools to be able to manipulate data. Those are calculated fields. There are different functions available. You'd want to do some arithmetic. A calculation. You want to find out 5.75% of something, you don't have to take out your calculator and do it. You can do that using some calculated fields in Workday. Let's say you have a compensation. You want to understand the impact of giving a 7% increment to all your employees, or maybe it's a bit more complicated than that. You want to find out what is the total capital outlay, what is the total increase in cost for you as an. Then you can create those calculated fields and let Workday do the calculation for you. You want to identify whether employee is a manager or not. Maybe based on that, you're going to give them some special allowances. You have to find out whether an employee is manager or not. Now you won't go into the system and check for all the 10,000 or 15,000 employees. We will create some calculations based on that, and then we will also see what are some typical integrations. EBE is Enterprise Interface Builder. Now EBE is something that we use to exchange data between Workday and other systems as functional consultants, as we are going to use the inbound EIBs. A lot inbound EIBs are used to load transactional data. You're going to hire 500 work, that may be even 50 workers. You will not go into the screen and do one by one. I will show you how to do it, how to do a bulk load using inbound EIBs. You'll put it in an Excel spreadsheet and load it, how to create those EIBs, how to configure those EIBs. We will discuss that in this class, and then we will also talk about core connectors. Now, this is typically for the integrations consultant. The functional consultant need not be too worried about this. If somebody wants to become a technical, they would be requiring this core connectors, but I will cover this nonetheless, just for the benefit of everybody. All this is the course agenda, and on top of this, there are many other things that I am going to give you. Now, those are some additional reading materials that will cover topics recruitment, payroll, and benefits and compensation and etc. How are we going to run this course? Each class will have a mix of theory and demonstration. Theory and demonstration I will talk about the particular topic, the underlying theory and Then I will explain or I will show how it is done. In Workday, I will demonstrate how it is done in work, and then I will give you some assignments home. Assignments that I would expect that you would practice after the class. It is a software product after all. The more you practice, the more familiar you become with the product, and that's when the confidence comes to clear interviews. More practice you do, the better you are at your interviews, because all the screens, all the meanness, if it say you. Just remember, on the top of your head, they will ask you, how do you do this? How do you configure this? And you will know all. Then I would expect you to practice. You will get access to this particular system that I will also give you projects to work on requirements where you will configure end to end. You will configure from the beginning to the end. You will configure everything just for more and more practice, and I will also give some videos to watch that you can. Those are quick, small videos, 5 minutes, 10 minutes that you can watch to come prepared for the next day session, or you can also keep them handy just for a quick revision before your actual interviews. All that when you go for interviews, we have better people. You want to revise the topic, you don't have to scramble and search for your books and PDFs and XCs. You just know you can go to that particular video, quick 5 minutes video. You revise that particular topic. I'm going to give you a lot of material that some of it will. You can retain, you can keep with you, and also the class recordings. Every class will be recorded. All the class recordings will be made available to you after one day. Each day the session happens, the team will upload the video. You will get it later in the day or maybe the next day. Even if you miss a session, you have it available to you forever. You are going to have this access forever. There is a lot of material that I'm going to give you to help you prepare for your interviews. All I need from you all is a commitment. A typical commitment from you will be around 2 to 2.5 hours of your day each day. 1 hour will be for our regular classes, and then your study, homework, preparation for your next session will also take around an hour, 2 hours per day. If you are willing to make that commitment, you're going to be very successful after taking this course. All, I will end here now. I will let you ask any questions now. I already have one question in the chat which says, do you need to have previous experience in it to do this course, to understand Workday, to learn about Workday? No, you don't need to have any prior experience in it or anything. But you see, when we go for our job search, I'll be very honest with you. When we go for our job search, it always helps to have some experience to show we can manipulate that. We can add work experience on top of that. And to highlight the things that we did as part of the training, I will help you with resume building. I will give you sample resumes for people with no experience, people with significant experience, people with soft and SAP experience, people with testing experience and mainframe and on. I will give you different kinds of sample resumes. I will also tell you the things to put in your resume to be at least shortlisted by the different companies. Yes, I will help you with those, but having some experience definitely helps, because you need to tell to your prospective employer that you have some prior experience. How fast do people get hired? As of now, the market is very, I would say, hot now. A lot of people are getting hired. There are a lot of openings in different countries. It can be in the US, it can be in Europe, it can be in India, in Southeast Asia. There are a lot of opens irrespective of where you are located. You will see a lot of job openings for different kind of profiles. It can be for very senior consultants, it can be for new consultants, it can be for people who just have an overview of the product and on. There are the workplace gaining immense popularity. There are a lot of jobs that are there in the market. What are the other modules? Can you give an overview? What is finance? Yes, I will talk about some of the modules as part of the discussion. I will give you the materials for some of the advanced modules. But remember that all the other modules, apart from finance and payroll, all the other modules of Workday, they are built on top of the HCM functional content that we are going to cover. The course that we're going to cover, we'll talk about, will lay the foundation for all those different concepts. And I will tell you how to. I will give you the materials for those other modules as you can go through them. You can read more about them if you are interested, or maybe if you are preparing for a certain interview. Will we get a certificate after completion of this course? Yes, I can hear you. Just let me answer this question from Smithy, and then I will talk to you. Range. Just give me one more. Will we get a certificate? The certificate. Certificate can only be given by Workday. When we talk about a certification, that is only given by Workday. No one else can give you a certification other than Workday. The training that you go through, it will give you the concepts that we cover in 2 certifications, Workday HCM Core and Workday Integration Score. Both of those certification courses are combined into the course that we are delivering, but there is no certificate after completion. You cannot show this to somebody to think that, hey, I did this course from such and such institute. I know about what? No, there's no such thing. It's only your knowledge. How do you get certified? You get certified only if you are part of some partner companies. Workday has its ecosystem of partners. You have to be a part of those partners, and those partners have to sponsor your Workday training and certification. Only after that you get certified. It's not, I meet the requirements of the course, I take an exam and I'm certified. No, not that. And then it said, I have a question. How these Workday partners will hire us if we don't have the certification? Because if I'm familiar and everybody in India is looking for certifications, whether you have the certification or not, on with you or not, that's the main challenge in Indian market that we've going to face. Can you give us some light on that? Of course, you see a lot of organizations. You see that demand has far outstripped the suppliers of now. That by that, what we mean is from the, I would say first, or second quarter of 2021, we are seeing tremendous amount of new implementations that are happening. All the organizations are finding it difficult to keep up pace with the rapid growth of implementations that we are seeing. During the implementation, we need certified consultants. The implementation is over, it is the work, customer is on Workday, then we need people to maintain that. In both ends of the spectrum, there are a lot of jobs. One is for organizations who have already implemented Workday. They need people to help to maintain up and enhance that system. For that you have a lot of jobs. But on the other hand, for implementation, since you brought of the topic, implementation partners are also looking for people. Initially, people were looking for only certified consultants. You're already certified by some partner you joined our organization, but now the companies have realized that it is not always possible to fish in this pool of resources were already certified. They are willing to take the cost and the time to get someone certified. Now, how will this training help? If the company realizes that you are aware of all the concepts, then they can easily send you for certification and they can quickly get you certified. You see, the certification cost is $4,000. $4,000 if you go and you are unable to clear it, then it's a huge problem for the organization because they are spending $4,000 for you if you are able to tell them about the concepts. If you are able to tell them about the things that we are covering in this course, you have a very good chance of getting selected even in partner companies who will then sponsor your certification. I will give you some leads, some recruiters, some organizations, partner organizations who are looking for non-certified people as you can apply there. Talk about the course that you did, and I'm sure you will be able to clear the interview and get selected and then eventually get certified. What are the different roles that we have with respect to? You said functional consultant, technical consultant. What are the differences and what are the experience levels? It's a very broad kind of thing that you asked. The thing is, there are jobs for everybody. Now when you say in USA require an HCM consultant to be certified, I would disagree with that comment. If you are going to be an implementer, if you are going to implement Workday for your customers, to be able to implement, you need a Workday certification, correct? That is true, but to be a Workday consultant, you don't need to be Workday certified. Now, since we are talking about certification, let me add that point now. Let's say you are a partner of those 27 different companies who are partner companies. You are certified, let's say, but then your customer company, you join a company, let's say Bank of America, you join a company, maybe Geico in US, or maybe Standard Insurance in UK in US, or maybe Royal Bank of Scotland, or maybe Lowe's in India or Google. Those are not partner companies, but they are customer companies. They have implemented Workday as their HCM product, and you join those organizations, then what happens? Your certification goes away the moment you leave the partner company and you join a customer company. Your certification lapses. The certification that we have is only for implementers, people who are going to implement Workday for their customer companies. Do not be too obsessed or bothered about a Workday certification. We have very successful candidates. People with 15 years of experience in world. Although that is very rare, but still. We have people with 7, 8, 9, 10 years experience who are never certified, Certification is not mandatory. I would say, if you want to implement question here, sorry to interrupt because I think my question would conclude to what you're talking. Ideally, I'll tell you my goal of attending this session is now. Let me know if this platform is correct for me. I understand that certification when I was asking about. I only need to ask to get a break. I understand that if you're already working with any partners or you are into a similar roles and you can take this training and start implementing this for your organization. All with that experience you can apply outside. But what about somebody who does not have this background? They want to get into it. That's why I was talking about the certification that Will this experience our it? Will this course help us get a certification? Which will actually add to if we have to apply for any internship or any training with any trade partners. In Workday, you don't have that kind of certification. It's not a Microsoft product or maybe a Salesforce or a typical, let's say an SP. Certification. You take the course, you clear the exam, you're certified in those products, but not in Workday. In Workday, the certification is only required if you're going to work on an implementation project. Apart from that, it is not required. Now coming back to your question, let's say you have a break, you or maybe you want to. You are doing something else now, you want to get into the ecosystem. You want to get a job in Workday then? I think that's the reason most of us are here for. Having said that, after taking this course, you will be able to start applying for those jobs, let's say, from an Indian perspective. Let's say a company Ekal, they're not an implementation partner, but they have a strong Workday practice. They are supporting their customers on work who are already on Workday. T's Infosys, these are not tech. Mahindra, who used to be Satyam before tech. Mahindra, these companies are hiring people in large numbers and they know that they are not getting certified, they're not going to get certified. Consultants, because certified consultants will lose their certification once they join these companies, but they are going to get people anyway who are knowledgeable about what they could know, the concepts, who will be able to support their customers for their Workday implementations. All. The same is a story in Australia, US. It said there are a lot of companies who have already migrated or shifted to Workday as the HCM product. They need people to help enhance that, maintain that. Then you see a lot of jobs. Don't be fixated on the certification or the saying that if I don't have a certificate, I can't be successful. It's not that. You need a certification only to represent Workday to implement for a new customer. Let me put it that way, that's where you need a certificate. You go walk up to the customer and say, hey, I am here to implement Workday for you. Here is my certificate. Certification. The customer says, I know you are trained by Workday and you can implement Workday for me. That is the only time you need a certification. Apart from that, you don't need them. That part. Again, my question again comes, how do we add it in our resume? We can just add that we got training. And how will people know that I haven't? And a knowledge about HCM implementation, or I have a knowledge of a techno-functional. What is there which we can add it in others? You may and take you can, this particular. Correct? Let me come to that. You can. I got your question. You can say that you have worked on this project. I will give you 2 or 3 projects. You will say that you have worked on those projects and you, if you have some prior XP, maybe you have taken a break now. But if you have some prior work experience, you can put this experience there, that there you worked as a business analyst in your previous organization. It can be 4 years ago. It can be 5 years ago, as you can put it there. I mean, we have to include some work, the experience as part of our issue as part. The project internship, or if you are in the US, then yes, maybe you can work, as you can mention you. You work as a freelancer, as a consultant, it's several, but we have to put it in our resume somehow. Otherwise, the recruitment team of different organizations, they will not consider those resumes. That is a fact. We have to put it somewhere in. If you have some experience, it definitely helps to mix this Workday as part of that resume especially. But let me also add to it that there are a lot of organized, especially my organization, and I will tell you more about it once we are towards the end of the course. I can give you some contacts, and you can straight away apply there. In our organization, we encourage people who want to join after they have taken a break. We have a lot of people who had taken career breaks, or maybe they did something else. They were in sales, they were in maybe networking and those products, and they have now made a career transition to Workday VR. An implementation button. I work for an organization that is an implementation or Workday partner. We are looking for people who can just learn Workday and get certified. Our organization is willing to sponsor people to get certified and trained and everything. It doesn't matter if you have a break. Only thing we are looking for is you need to be trainable, or you need to have the basics of working. The rest of it will take. That's what my organization is doing. I'm sure there are other organizations in the market also. What would be the success ratio? I mean, if it is for experienced a candidate, for example. I'm currently working as a manager into talent acquisition. I do have bit idea as an end user for this Workday. If I keep around 3 of them, 4 years experience probably, does it work for the salary part and the level of the position, or can you please brief what would be the next stage of my career? And also, as you mentioned, the techno-functional, is it sufficient to go with the experience? Just without for HCM codes, or should I do any other specific modules? I would say you take one step at a time. You do this. I won't push sell this particular course. But what I will say is the foundation is important before you plan for any other advanced module. You mentioned you have some experience as a user how the recruitment area works in Workday. Now, if you do the rest of it, the other foundation, the organ in the way the organization works, the way the security works, etc., then you will have a better understanding of the work to product. And then when if you want, you start applying for jobs after that. If you see that or maybe you want to focus only on being a recruitment consultant, then you can take up another course on recruitment, but typically this course is enough for people to get into the world ecosystem to get a good job success ratio. I cannot give you an exact percent because I do not have the authority, the security. Permissions don't allow me to interact with all of you outside this training. I will not be able to give you an exact number, but a significant number of people have reached out to me later saying that they have got a job and now they need maybe some help, but they have some doubts. It said they need some support. That tells me that a lot of the people have actually converted and got into jobs after doing this. It has this. Trainings are almost all the modules of work. Yes. All when you log into Workday, you see you get a username and password prompt. Once you give that, you enter into this the screen. This is your landing page. Now we are logged in as one user. Now we will log in as someone called as Logan McNeil. Once before we do that, we have to use a task called start proxy. We are going to proxy. We are going to behave as Logan McNeil. Now why we do that I will talk. I will come to that later, but remember whenever you are logging in as somebody other than Logan McNeil, I would want you to use the task called start proxy, and in the act as you press L McNeil. That will search for Logan McNeil. Please make a note of this whenever you are in the browser. First check whether you are logged in as Logan McNeil or not. Then, if you are not, use a start proxy, enter Logan McNeil and click. Throughout this training, we will be performing the tasks as Logan McNeil. because Logan is the one who has the permissions to do the most amount of tasks. That's all. That's why the tasks that we are going to do as part of this training, we would be better off by doing them using Logan McNeil. You see the picture of her on her top up of the screen on behalf of Logan McNeil anyway. Wait, now let's talk about the area. The screen, what are we looking at? What are we looking at in this particular screen? On the top left hand of your screen, you see the home button or the work day icon. If I use some drawing skill, some arrows, are you able to see it on the top left hand of your screen? There is this workday icon. That is the workday icon or the home button. Now when you use your mobile phones or cell phones, let's say you are in the middle of an app, you are doing something, but then you want to come back. You want to do something else. Maybe you are in Facebook, but now you want to open up the browser and do something. Then what would you do? You click on the home button. Typically, or maybe you will minimize that and you will start doing something else, or you open up another app. Is that what we do? This home button is also the same thing. It will bring you back to the main page or the home page. That is its functionality. Let's say I am in some other screen. I click on somewhere else in the screen. My screen changes. I am in somewhere else called inbox, but now I want to come back to my main page and do something else. I will again go back to this home button. I'll click on the home button the moment I do that. It will bring me back to the main landing page. It will bring me back to the landing page. This is my home screen or landing page. The moment you log in, you will be put into this page. The pictures. This might be different from one environment to another, from one tenant to another, but more or less the top left will always be the Workday icon or the home icon. Now then we have the big and bold search bar at the top of our screen. Now we will be able to search for objects, search for things in Workday using the search bar. This is our Google. If it exists in Workday and if we have the access for it, we will be able to search it. Two important things. If it exists and if we have the access for it, we will be able to search it. And the other thing about this search is we have to type the correct spelling. Let's say I want to search, I want to do something, I want to create a location. A very simple task, let's say creating a location. If I type the word Clarenlock, you see it starts giving you some options, some predictive analysis, a pretty search options. It is thinking that Sierra Leone C is most likely you are looking for the task called create location. You don't have to type the complete word. To search for it, you can just type the first 3 characters of each word and it will try to find the task or the matching report or the matching object for you. Let's say you want to search for a person. You see, I typed only part of the name STEMMOR and it searched for Steve Morgan. You can search for objects. You can search for person, location, etc. I mean any object is there in workbook. You can search for that particular object using the search bar. What are the 2 things we must keep in mind? Put it in the chat. What needs to happen before I'm able to search for it? You have to type the spelling the object has to exist and what else? correct spelling. Yes, number 1. What is the other thing? You need to have the access for it. You need to be authorized to. See that if you are not authorized, you will not be able to find it using the search bar. It does not mean that it doesn't exist. Maybe you don't have the permission for it. If you see that you are not able to access something, but for a fact that it exists, then most likely you don't have the access point. All another thing is our spelling has to be correct. If I try to do the word create location and I am writing the correct spelling, I'm able to find it, but instead of create, if I type a wrong spelling, if I type a wrong spelling, you see it does not give me any option whether the rest of the word itself, everything is correct, but just that I have typed in a wrong spelling, then it will not be able to find it. All please remember that you can type part of the word, but whatever part you type has to be correct in spelling and you need to have access for it. And now Workday with some recent enhancements. It also remembers your most recent searches. It remembers some of your most recent searches and it also allows you to filter using the search option. Now let's say I'm looking for Steve Morgan, but there are many different things. Before I start my search, I can filter. Let's say I'm looking for a person. I will click on people and then I will start my search. You see, there is only 2 options. Now it is filtering your search results based on this tag. See the beauty of it now. The search has been enhanced with the recent versions. Now you can filter your search results automatically based on some tags. Now you see here the most common tags are people, tasks and reports, learning, or if you want to search for something in the drive, you can filter based on that. Any questions far from what we discussed? No? All then we move on to this part of the screen. Again, we are moving from left to this 4 square boxes. This is our shortcuts. All this is our shortcuts, our most used apps. Now, if you every day you log into the system and let's say you perform a task quite often, you do it every day, you may want to put it in your shortcuts that every day you log into to the workplace screen. You go here, you can do that task. Immediately, let's say somebody has created this, create job profile. This task has been added as a shortcut. What each of these jobs do, that we will find out over the duration of this course. But let's say you want to add something to this. Shortcuts, you can edit my shortcuts. And that will open up a page where you can add or remove some of these. A task, let's say, the first job, the payment, election history. I don't want this. Rather, I want the job which for create location. You see what? I did. Here I can search for certain tasks or reports in this field as here I will say create location, the same search correct parameter that I used in the main search bar. That also holds true for each of these fields as you see. I did Krilloc. I did not type the create location. The entire word I did not need to type. I just said Krilloc and it found the task for me, create location. If I'm done. I will scroll down to the bottom of the page and I have the option to save it. I'll click on to save this. All now, if I go back to my shortcuts, you see, create location is there. How did I do it? I clicked on edit and then I removed an existing shortcut. I added a new one and it starts showing up as part of this My Shortcuts page. Or we can add as many as we want. Or is there any limitation? There is a limit there. Is a limit. Let's go here and see the limit. You see it says select up to 10 shortcuts. You can only add 10 shortcuts here now. How about this? The external link that is mentioned. Is it related to this? Yes, let's say external link is everyday you work in this system you need to refer to. Let's say an external link for let's say EDP. You want to check your payroll because maybe you are also working as a payroll administrator. Maybe you also have to log into the ADP website and check for the payroll for your employees. You can configure that here. You click on external link and you can switch. I mean, you can choose from some of the existing ones. Or you can first create a link and then put it here. Let me show you one. Some of the existing ones. Let's say I choose, let's say Salesforce account. If I say Salesforce account, then what happens? If I go to my shortcuts, I mean this link was already there in the system. I just selected it. And then if you go to the shortcuts, you click on Salesforce account. You see, for an external site, the icon is different. The other ones, they don't have an icon. This one does. But that gives you an indication that this is an external site. If I click on that, it opens up Salesforce account or whichever link has being configured. Let's say you want to go there and you can create a link. As you can create a link, you can create an external link and you can put it here. You can add it here if you want. All then over your course, over the period of time, Workday also starts learning which are the common apps that you use. Talk about apps in a moment. It then starts giving you those my most used apps. This is machine learning. This is inbuilt into the system. It starts learning about which are the apps you typically use after you log in. Nowadays, our phones also have this. The moment you start using something, your maps start predicting at this time of the day, maybe you are going for work. Maybe at the evening you're planning to go home. Or maybe if you open an app too often, then it will start giving you recommendations that at this time of the day, you open this particular app. Similarly, the Workday also has some machine learning built into it. The most commonly used apps will be put up here. This is something that is done by Workday itself. You are not editing this. You are just viewing the most used apps. This is just for better user experience. You don't have to search for it. You don't have to remember those tasks all the time. You just go here and you can see those things. But remember these useful things are actually for the end user. People who are actually going to use your Workday system and not typically for the Workday consultants. Because the Workday consultants will not be limited to a few handful tasks. They will need to use a variety of configuration objects in Workday to do their thing, to do their stuff. But this is typically for your end users, the actual employees who will actually log into Workday and use Workday for their HCM requirements. Applying for a leave, maybe looking at their pay stubs. They want to see their leave history and on those people, then after that we have two important things. One is the bell icon and another is what looks an inbox. Where do we hear the term bell icon? In which platform do people keep telling click on the bell icon, click on the bell icon? Notifications for what? YouTube in YouTube. They keep telling you, oh, click on the bell icon. Now what does the bell icon do? Gives you someone's notification of a latest video if somebody has uploaded a new content. If you had clicked on the bell icon for that channel, you get a notification saying that such and such channel has uploaded a new video. Correct? Now, when you get that notification on your phone, is it something that you have to take an action now? Unless it's a very popular channel and you absolutely want to view the content. Maybe yes, but there is no obligation that you have to do it now. Maybe once you go home, once you get some time, you can look at the notifications and watch the video. You don't have to do it now. And another thing is, it is for your information only, isn't it? A notification is for your information only. There is no immediate action needed from your end on that particular object. Or on that particular notification. Correct? Similarly here in this notification, this is 5. For your information only, maybe a report you had. You are running a report and it's a long running report. It took 5-10 minutes to complete. You will not wait for it. You started to do other things. Once the report is ready, it will give you a notification saying that it is complete. Now you can go in. You can check the report. You are download it or you may ignore it. You can do it later as you had applied for a leave. Your manager has now approved it. It will come to you as a notification saying that your manager is approved. After your manager is approved, do you have to take an action in Workday? Do you have to apply for leave again? No, you have applied for a leave. Your manager is approved. Correct. It comes to you as a notification saying that your leave is now approved. If I click on notifications, you will see that there are all the pending notifications that are here for this particular worker. I am logged in as Logan McNeil. All the notifications for Logan will show up here. Let's say a job requisition. Somebody created a job requisition. Somebody completed, something completed. This is an integration. Completed, someone started it. It completed and Logan had to be notified it came. But you see, even in YouTube, along with the notification, if you click on that notification, what happens? You get directed to the actual video where you can watch it, isn't it? That notification also acts as a link to that video. Here also you will get a link to that particular object. If you want more details about it, if you want to know more about it, what happened? You click on that and you can get some more details about it. This one. Position. Somebody closed a position you want to see. What are the tasks? Who closed it? When was it closed? What is the audit? What are the different tasks that happened? With regards to this particular closing a position, you can click on this. You see, it's a blue hyperlink. You can click on this and you will be taken to that particular street. Let me show you. I will click. I have clicked and I have the option to see it in a new tab. That my existing work is not lost. You see, I still have that other page with me. I still have this page, but I am opening this up in a new tab. This gives us more details about the closed position. Who did it and what happened? What are the different things? What was the job and etc. etc. I can look at the history of this particular object. When did it happen? It started on 1st of March. Oh, sorry, it happened on 4th of March, etc. It gives me all details about it. But if I don't want all these details, I can just look at this notification and I know that this task is complete. The next. Oh, Chris, I have a doubt here. Sure. Logan has been getting a notification from, all the people who are under her. Is it, according to the hierarchy? Not necessarily. It depends on the tasks that are configured. Now, when we configure notifications, we decide whom to notify. We will decide. Do we notify everybody? Do we notify a group of people? Or do we notify one particular person? All notifications are not for everybody, isn't it? For example, the notifications from the YouTube channel. Is it for every single user of YouTube? Only for the people who have clicked on the bell icon for that particular channel, correct? If I have not clicked on the notification or bell icon for a particular channel, even if they upload a new video, I will not be notified. Similarly, for notifications in Workday, be given to only the people whom we have configured. We will do it later when we want. We do reports once we do our integrations and different tasks, the business processes. Then we will configure notifications. We will configure who will be notified or who should be notified. The next to the notifications is this inbox. Now, contrary to the notification, if an email comes to you in your, let's say, Google inbox or your Outlook, then what do? If an email has come to you, then what do you typically do? It warrants an action, isn't it? That means you need to take some action on it. The person who has sent you the email, they want you to do something with it. It can be asking for information. It can be asking for some action on your behalf, correct? It might be saying, hey Krish, I need you to send such and such document to me. That means what? Once I receive that email, I need to do something. An action is waiting for me in an email. Typically nowadays, in the age of all these spam emails and phishing emails, yes. Not all emails need action, but typically that is the intended use. Use of an email or if something is in your inbox, that means you need to take some action. Here also, if something is there in your inbox, in all likelihood, you have to take some action on it. It can be an approval task. It can be some, let's say you are the manager and your reportee has requested for a leave. How will the manager get the task, or how would the manager know that the reportee has required for a leave, has asked for a leave? They will get an object in their inbox. Is this inbox the same as your corporate office email? The answer is no. This is not your email inbox. This inbox means that there is the task waiting for you in Workday, which needs your action. Got it? For example, this one absence request Catherine Arnold. This person has created an absence request effective of 20th of March. Actually, these are all business processes in error. Let me try to see a clean example. For this one, they say compensation change for a person called Ash. Used. Somebody has requested a compensation change for this particular worker. It has come to Logan for action. You see here what are the tasks that are available to Logan. She can approve. She can send it back. She can add other approvers or she can deny it. She can straight away say nope, I don't agree, or she can cancel and do something else. But the main task she can do is approve, or she can send back for changes or revisions. But first she can review. She can review that this used to be his allowances and salary. Then he's getting a 20%, an increase. Now after the raise, the increase amount is around 1900. He is going to get $11,500 annual. This is going to be his new compensation. The reason for this is adjustment for performance and the effective date is the 4th of March. This is his pro, this is his position. A Workday tester, and then if you agree to this, you can see that who started it, who initiated it, and then you can also see any comments, etc., any attachments if people have done. You can look at all those, and if you see that looks to me, then you can click on approve. If you click on approve, it will go to the next person as part of the process. But if you do not want, if you do not agree, let's say 20 hikes seems too much, then what you can do is you can either deny string that nope, I don't agree, 20% is too much, or what you can do is you can send it back for revision. You can say that maybe you can adjust this value. I'm not rejecting it, but please revise this. You can send it back, or you can approve, or you can deny as but. You see that this type of object, this type of task, a review, compensation change. Here, you need to take some action. Correct, it is waiting for your action. And what? What happened in the notifications? It was for your information only. Got it. That is the difference between a notification object and then inbox object. Then on the top you see the picture of the worker, or if there is no picture, it will be a cloud, a blue cloud picture if that is a default. Here you have some other options as the home button. Here also you have the home button. This home button is the same as the Workday icon on the top left. Both are the same. If I click on the home button, it will again take me back to the home screen. It took me back to the home screen. It is again placed here as. Remember, in Workday there are more than one ways of doing the same thing. There are many different ways of doing it. After home, you have the My Account. This is the place where typically in all web-enabled products, you have something called My Account where you do your password changes, you change your preferences, etc., etc. If you want to look at your challenge password challenge question, if you want to look here, change your password, all of that will be in My Account. Click on My Account and you will be able to change your account password, and you can also be able to change your preferences. Let's say you don't want to view the currency as dollars, you want to view your currency as euros. In the preferred currency, you want to view everything as as euros instead of dollars. You want to be in a different time zone. Maybe you want Eastern time zone by default. It is specific. You want to be in a different time zone. You want to change your language and your country. You want to have a 12-hour clock or 24-hour clock. You prefer PM rather, or maybe you prefer the 24-hour clock. You can choose amongst these options, and you can also see what is the email address that will be used to send you no email. Notifications, if any. You can configure your usage patterns. You can configure your notifications and your preferences as part of the change preferences. All those chains, and you said we can change the preferred currency. Where do these changes reflect on the landing page whenever you're doing some tasks? Let's say that, let me show you here. Let's say I do euro. This is my preferred currency now. It says sign out and sign back into Workday to apply your preferred currency change. If I do this, if I say my preferred currency is euro, then what will happen? I did not save it. You see, I just discarded the changes. This change is for me as a user. For logo. Now if I look at a particular task, I'm going back to my inbox. And let's go back to that compensation for Yash. Here we had the compensation change for Yash. Instead of US dollars, it will also start showing me the corresponding value in euros. Let's say, it says $9,615, but in addition to that, it will also start showing me, say, $9. I don't know the actual conversion rate, but let's say it is around $9, and here it will be, let's say, $11. And instead of US dollars, it will be euro. Basically, it is for tasks that we do when you are seeing the data. Whenever you are seeing the data, it will also start showing you the data in your preferred currency. And all the time that you see that, you see there was a lot of time. Let me erase this and scroll down. You see here the date and time was there. And if you look at more details, if you click on more details, you will be able to see a lot more information, and it's there. Wherever you see the time, then it will also start showing you in your preferred time zone and your preferred time format. All there it will start showing you in those things, as that is where you change your preferences. Let's say, whenever you are using a product, you want to change the theme of your Gmail browser, or maybe you want to change the font size. It's there we do that all the time in our what to say in our Gmail inbox. Here also this preferences are something that where you are able to change your password, you are able to change your currency, time zone, etc. Then comes Workbench. This Workbench. This used to be the old look and feel of Workday. If you see some old videos that are a year or two old, you would have seen this as the landing page. This used to be the old landing page of Workday. At least 1 year ago, this was the landing page, but now Workday still retains it. People who are used to it, they may still want to come here and do it, but this is now put in as something called Workbench. You click on this, you are brought to this particular page. Here you have important things, your applications. We will talk about applications in a moment, and you also have your inbox. You see, it's an expanded version of your inbox. It shows you the 3 most recent tasks waiting for your action. These are the 3 most recent tasks in your inbox, the first 3, and it also tells you that You are logged in as Logan McNeil and this is your employee at 2001. Now let's talk a little bit about the applications. Now that we have seen this. In your mobile phones, you see I'm frequently drawing a parallel between Workday and your mobile phones. Because both are new age products, they share a lot of similarities. Because that's the way people work these days now, even in your mobile phone. You have, let's say, you have an app for Facebook. Most of you do have it now using that. Facebook app, you can access Facebook. Is there any other way you can access Facebook from your phone? You can do it through Safari or any other search. Correct. You can do it using a browser, Safari or Google Chrome or any other browser you have. You can use that to access Facebook. Why do we prefer an app? Because it's fast or convenient, easy to access. Easy to access. And it already has your user ID password stored. Every time, you don't have to type it. It is more convenient to add on to the point that you mentioned. It is more convenient. And what else is it? Does it look a little bit better? I mean, all the posts that you, or maybe the things that you prefer, they are all in one place and they show up easier. Sometimes in the browser, it's a bit, confusing because the browser may show you some other things and browser may not know your patterns and your history and whatever you do. It depends a lot on what Facebook is giving, but this Facebook app is focused only on the things you want to see mostly, and it's a very neat and clean interface. You have all the things in the places, the icons are of the proper size, etc. It's very convenient. But we all agree that if you want, you can still use a browser to do something. Correct, you can still use a browser and still open up Facebook, correct? Here also in Workday, the apps or something that brings to you the related or similar tasks in one single place for your convenience. Now let's say I want to look at integrations. We are jumping way ahead of our plan, but still let's say integrations. If I click on the integrations tab, you see it gives us a list of actions. You can launch an integration, you can create an integration system, you can create an integration system user. You see all the tasks which are related to an integration, they are put together. Within this app, I don't have to do it using the search bar. I can just click on this. Let's say create integration. I want to create an integration. I can click on this create integration system task and it takes me to the page where I can create an integration system. You see how convenient it is? Let me show it to you one more time. I am in my, let's say I go back to my view all apps. Here also I am able to view the apps, or there was this other way how I navigated to it. Correct? I went to it using the workbench. Let me do that one more time just to maintain some consistency. I will go back to workbench and there I had this integrations correct. And we click on this integrations one. And you see it puts all the different integrations related tasks in one single place. Create integration system. Create an EAB. Now let me go back to the search bar at the top and type the same thing, create EAB. Or maybe create integration system. You see there is a task for it. Create integration system. You see it's here. It is also I can search for this task. If I click on this task, it takes me to the same page, isn't it? But if I navigate to it from an app, it is far more convenient. I don't need to remember the task. It is all there. It is easy for me to do it, isn't it? If you are navigating to something from within an app, it is just all the more easier to navigate, easier to access. And let's say you want to add some more applications on the landing page or on this workbench. Then in your phone, what do? You move. You are able to move around the icons on your home screen. You are able to do that. You can move maybe the messaging to the top, the phone to the or maybe the WhatsApp to the top, Facebook to the left. You are able to do all those kind of rearranging or realignment of your apps. Here also, you would be able to do the same thing. By clicking on the Configure Applications here, the gear item, the gear icon, if you click on that, you can configure your applications now. Some applications can be marked as required by the system administrator, or you can just move around the things. Let's say the integrations one I want at the beginning, at the top. I can use this up and down arrows. I can use that to move it. Whenever you see this up and down arrows, that means you will be able to move these things to where you want. Up and down if I click on now. And up. Now you see, the integrations is at the beginning. The first one is integrations correct. How did I do it? I clicked on Configure Applications and it gives me this grid. Where you are able to move it up or down. Now another thing, I want you to see this because we will see this over and over and over again. As and when we do tasks in Workday. One is this plus. This plus stands for add row at the top, and here you have a plus here and a minus here. Now what does this stand for? A plus stands for add row, I just said. What is the difference between the plus at the top and the plus at each row? Let me show it to you. I am clicking this plus icon at the top, the one that I have circled. If I click on the plus at the top, you see what happened. An empty row came up at the top. There I can add a dashboard or an application. Let's see if I have something for benefit. Nope, let's search for some default applications. Let's say utilities. I add a new one, I really move on anyway. I add this utilities. Worklet at the top, got it. Now, there is this one more thing which is the minus. What does this do? This removes the row if you just put your mouse pointer over it. It says remove row. If I want to remove this utilities line from here, I can just click on this minus and it will remove it for me. All that is the difference. You can add a row or you can remove a row. Now, let's say I want to add a row between business process and all domains. Between business process and all domains, and what do I need to do? I can click on this add row here. That means it will create an empty row below it. And if I do not want it, get rid of it using the minus. See how easy it is. You click on this, and row at the row level inserts a row below. The add row at the top inserts a row at the top of the particular grid. That is the difference. Let me click to save this. We will see this add row icon over and over and over again, as and when we configured as we configure different things in one day. Then you have these favorites. This used to be a favorite before, but now people do not use it as much. You see, now you have your shortcuts. But previously we used to use this favorites tab very much. Now in this favorites you can manage your favorites, and you can put the tasks that you use, the reports that you commonly run, your favorite objects. You can put all of that into this particular favorite reports and tasks section. Now what this will allow you to do is it will allow you to navigate quickly to those particular places, just adding a bookmark in your browser every time. You don't need to type something. You just click on that favorites and it will straight away navigate you there. Correct? Here also you just have the option to put those tasks or put those reports as part of your favorites. Let's click on manage favorites, and let's say idle again. We were looking at the task create location. If I want to add that as my favorite, you see I can do that and click. Now what happens in my favorite tasks? I see create location. I will click on that and it will take me to that particular page. This is another user-friendly thing. You can put the commonly used tasks in your favorites. Then you have the drive. I will not be able to access the drive for Logan because I am proxied as Logan, but still I can show you the high level thing. Just this is just your shared drives. What we have, your Google Drive or OneDrive and Excel. Here you can click on this drive and you can store files. Here you can store some report output. Or you can also share documents with other users using the shared drive. Or you can upload something here and you can share it with other users within Workday, not outside of Workday, but within Workday. You can do it. Then you have my reports. My reports are the output of the report that you ran recently. If you are running a report, it took a while and you did not want to look at it. You wanted to do something else, and then you can come back and look at this particular report in My Reports. In My Reports, documentation will take you to the Workday community page. You need a separate login ID and password to access community. Workday community is a closed group where somebody needs to add you first before you are able to access it. All Workday consultants, all Workday customers are part of Workday community and also Workday employees. They are part of Workday community, but you have to be added to the Workday community to be able to access it. The documentation is available only in Workday community. It will take you to the Workday community. The help will take you to a company's internal website. It can also be configured to go to community, but typically the help goes to something internal, to the company where they have the training videos, how to videos, etc. for that particular company. Company internal help or manuals or documents. This help will not take you to the Workday community. This will mostly go to some internal SharePoint or Google Drive or some other site where they store their Workday training materials. I'm talking about when a customer implements this Workday implementation. I mean this Workday system. That is what this help button will typically take you to all now. Recovery Assistant is again a newly added feature now. This Recovery Assistant will help you to recover any page that you are working with. Let's say I was working with Create Integration System and then I went out of that page and started doing something else. It will allow you to go back to that page. It will allow you to go back to that page. If you click on it, it just remembers that page and it will allow you to go back and resume your work from there. If you cancel, you come out of it, you will still be able to go back to this page using the Recovery Assistant now. This has been a long pending demand of Workday users that, we do not get to. If I walk out of this page, then sometimes what happens? I lose my tasks. This Recovery Assistant will take you back now if you do not want this. Just get rid of it and keep it clean. All this was a brief overview about the navigation of the things. Now, as and when we do more and more things in Workday, as and when we start creating our configurations, our objects in Workday, we will again go through the navigation more and more times. And as you start practicing in Workday there also, you will see that how we do the navigation. From there, let's start with this topic called Navigation, Basics and Organization that we quickly go through the slides here. You see, this picture is a bit old. This is now the workbench. This is no longer the landing page, but this is more of the workbench. Bench now, and we saw these applications and we saw this gear icon where we are able to configure our applications. This is what we covered in today's session. Now, as we will start discussing our core concepts from tomorrow onwards, let's quickly do a high-level discussion on what are the 6 core concepts of Workday HCM. There are 6 core concepts. The first one is supervisory organizations. You will hear supervisory organizations a lot as part of this particular training. Now, supervisory organizations are used to group the employees into a management hierarchy. Who reports to whom? That is what it is going to do. We will create this organization structure based on who reports to whom. That is what supervisory organizations are for. You can think of it a department typically in any enterprise where there are some people who are working. There is a hierarchy, isn't it, in any company or itself? There will be a hierarchy. All the people are not at the same level. People report to other people and then those people will report to somebody else. Let's say an employee, a regular employee will report to a manager. A manager will report to, let's say, a senior manager. Senior manager reports to a director to associate vice president and on. Everybody, and even the vice presidents will report to the CEO. Everybody reports to someone else. We create that structure, this reporting structure in Workday using supervisory organizations. We will start talking about organizations from tomorrow's session. Then we have something called as staffing models. Now, this will define how the jobs and positions are created and filled in the supervisory organization. Now, in the demo session, I talked about hiring, let's say, a director versus a sales associate. Correct. When you hire a director, how many directors do you typically hire in an organization? A limited number? Chitra, one or two maybe. You hire a few in number. Now, if you are hiring a sales associate, how many would you hire? You'll hire a couple of them. Maybe 10, 15, maybe even more depending on. Maybe a volume. Let's say if it's a Walmart, hundreds and thousands of people working, you will need a lot of sales associates. But even in a company, Walmart, how many directors? Maybe 10 at max, 10, 15, 10, 15 at max, and that too. One for each zone. Maybe for East, us, you have one director. For North, you have one. For West, you have one. For South, you have. For Central, you have another. The way you hire a director versus the way you hire maybe a sales associate are the same, similar, or maybe quite different. It'll be different. Now, how you want to hire them, that is defined in your staffing models. Now, how these jobs and positions are created and how they are filled, that will be decided by the staffing model you choose. Are you looking for a lot of flexibility? Are you looking to hire a lot of people? That will decide which staffing model you use. Or maybe you want to have a lot of restriction, you want to have a lot of control, then that will decide on another staffing model. There are two kinds of staffing models in Workday. One is position management, the other one is job management. We will talk in detail about these two staffing models in some time next week, and then we will talk about job profiles. This being an end-team software, we need to create job profiles to be able to hire people. Every worker you profile. What is the job profile? It describes what that worker is supposed to do, isn't it? Now, whenever some recruiter calls you for a new job opportunity, you ask that person, what is the job profile? What am I supposed to do in that job? Or what does this job require me to do? Don't we ask them, what is the job profile that you are recruiting me for? What will be my responsibilities? A job profile will talk about the generic features and characteristics of the job, and you can also create a position based on that job profile. A job profile will contain details, what are the responsibilities, the tasks that the person needs to do, number one. It will also have details all what is the qualification. Required MBA or bachelor's degree or school degree. What are the certifications required? What are the skills required for this particular job? All of that will be put in this particular object, that is a job profile. Then we will talk about that. Another core concept is the compensation. This is the umbrella term for all the different things that we will talk about in compensation. Packages, grades, grade profiles and plans. Anything within related to compensation. We will talk about in compensation. Now let me ask you, this is compensation given to employees only, or is it given to contingent workers as to employees, only anyone who is who thinks different or who thinks no. Even as contingent workers, we get paid. How are contingent workers paid? Then they are usually paid through their contractors, through their employees. Correct, they are. They are not paid directly by the company where they are working as contingent workers. They are treated as suppliers of services, somebody who they are typically employed by other organizations, and they are sent as workers to this company. They work there as a contingent worker or a short-term worker. Yesterday, I have a question. There are two types of contingent workers. One is directly on the company's As a company, for example, say any company you name on it. For example, I'm just taking as a Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra hires contingent worker on their payroll, and they also hired a contingent worker from different, let's say from other company, and then those companies are providing the employees, no doubt, for those people. Obviously, the company is paying to the company itself, not the contingent worker, but the person who is on the payroll of or any company, but as a contingent worker. How do they get paid now? Now, first of all, when you are hiring a contingent worker, the contingent worker will never be on the company's payroll. They may be contracted by that company, but they will never be on their payroll. Because whenever we talk about payroll, it starts having other things, taxes, benefits, and on. Contingent workers typically are not entitled for. That's the thing. Contractors now, especially from us. Perspective, this contract is, even let's say you are not associated with any company, you are directly working as a freelancer, then you're directly hired by one company. There also, I'm not sure of the details, but I think you might have seen this. Even these individual freelancers, they also have a company registered. They may be the only company. They may be the only employee in that company. If they are the CEO, they are the, and the contract is actually signed with this particular company, where this worker is the only worker. That is how the companies will sign a contract, and then you are supposed to do your taxes. Everything on your own. The company will not do taxes because you are supposed to be a company. You will bill by the hour, or maybe whatever is a contract with you. They will pay you based on that rate, and then you take care of the taxes. A lot of doctors are associated with hospitals in that way. But what about the contractors who already went directly to the company? They're also treated as the same as other contractors, or they are treating as a differently. They will be treated differently. They are not entitled to any benefits. They are not entitled to retirees. Isn't that true? Of course. But that also been when how they are being nicer as the contract. Only they are going to pay to that particularly person. Contractor person. Oh, correct. Oh, they're not. They're not salaried per se. They're not absolutely a compensation. Is mostly for it's typically for your employees. Now there are different types of workers. When we talk about that, there can be a fixed term employee, as an employee is hired only for a year. That is a fixed term. Those type of employees are also there in some countries. Yes, and then there are regular employees. There are fixed term contracts. And then there are contingent workers. A contingent worker may work with the company for 10 years. That is also possible. It is not contingent worker means only for 6 months or 3 months or 2 months. It's not that. A contingent worker may work for 10 years. I have seen some contingent workers work for 15 years. No issues, but now it is. There is a lot of mix. And then there is a new type of worker called as gig workers. People who come in, do their work and leave. Maybe somebody who comes in to paint your office. They know that their only task is to come in, paint and leave. They're a gig worker. Their only task is to do a gig. The gig workers are typically associated with the musicians. You perform a gig or they perform a gig. What do? They bring in their musical instruments, set it up, play for the evening and leave. Take their payments and leave. They're not an employee of that place where they are performing. Similarly for gig workers, that is a new type of work that are coming up. They will come in, do the thing and leave. But anyway, the compensation is something that is paid to employees Only it can be salary, it can be hourly wages. But compensation is only for your employees and not for continued workers. Then another core concept is the security. We will talk about the security groups. The group of users who need to have the same access. All managers need to have a similar kind of access. All HR administrators need to have a similar kind of access. All HR partners or benefits. Partners, payroll administrators, they need to have a similar kind of access. We will see how Workday's security system works, how we will group the users into security groups, and how we will assign them some permissions. Security is also a core concept of Workday HCM. And the last core concept is business process. The business process is a sequence of one or more tasks that accomplishes a desired business objective we discussed about. Let's say the hire process. There will be a sequence of tasks that needs to happen before you hire a worker, and all of these tasks will not be performed by the same person or the same group of person. It will be done by different groups of persons. We will see how we can configure the business processes in Workday. These are your 6 core concepts. Over the next 3.5 weeks, we will talk about these 6 core concepts in a lot of detail. Proceed with today's topic, that is organizations in Workday. All yesterday we started talking about the navigations in Workday, and we talked about some of the key areas in the screen that we see. We see the Workday icon on the top left hand of our screen, and we said that we know now that it is equivalent to the home button that we see on our mobile phones. If you want to come back to this landing page or to the workbench, etc., before we start working on something else, we can click on the Workday icon. Then we have the search bar. In the search bar, we can search for objects that are present in Workday. We have to type the correct spelling and we need to have the access to do that particular task. Then we will be able to find it. Then we talked about notifications inbox. We looked at our profile. We talked about applications, and then we saw how we can add rows when we see a grid, how we can remove rows, and we also saw that we can configure the applications by clicking on this gear icon. On our app, on our landing page, on our workbench, this was the basics of navigation. And then we also talked a little bit about the 6 core concepts that we have in Workday HCM. We started with supervisory organizations, which is somewhat that we group the employees into a management hierarchy, who reports to whom kind of structure, and this is a required foundation for Workday HCM. This is the core, this is the base on which Workday HCM is built. Supervisory organizations. We will talk about that in detail in tomorrow's session. Then we talked about staffing models. It defines how jobs and positions are created and filled in a supervisory organization. We took the example of the sales director versus some sales associates. We tried to contrast the difference between the hiring of these two types of positions. Then job profiles is another very important cool concept in Workday HCM. And it defines the generic features and characteristics of a job and the positions that are built from the job profile. And another cool concept, of course, compensation. Compensation that is being assigned to the employees. When we talk about compensation, we will talk about the compensation package, the grade. Grade profiles, different types of plans, allowance plans, bonus plans, commission plans that can be assigned to an employee. And then we have security, and in security, we will talk about the security group, the group of users who need to have the same kind of permissions. we will talk about security policies, securable items, and the last core concept that we will talk about, and that is very important for what the HCM is bespoke processes. The functional consultants will need to focus a lot on this particular topic, business. Processes is very important from the functional perspective. It's a sequence of one or more tasks that accomplishes our desired business objective. This is. We will talk about how to set up conditional logic, how to set up approval tasks, how to design the business process in Workday based on the requirements that we have from our business consultants or from the business analyst. We will create the business processes, we will optimize them, we will see which one can be marked as a completion step, and on. These are the 6 core concepts that we have in Workday HCM. Today we will start talking about organizations, but before we do that, any quick questions from yesterday's session. This is the document that I'm sharing. This is the detailed agenda. This is a more or less session by session agenda that we are going to cover. The first one is the introduction to Workday. This is the navigation basics we just talked about in yesterday's session. Just for everybody who are joining us today, this is the second session. But in the first session, we talked about just the navigation and we talked about the 6 core concepts. Actually, we will start talking about the detailed discussion from today's session, just for everybody's understanding. How would we understand what we missed? You did not miss anything we just talked about. The navigation. No problem. You can look at the recording from yesterday's session or whenever we are going through the topics. I will anyway cover those things one more time. As in, when we do the tasks, we will see the navigation again many times. You have not missed anything. Just for the sake of everybody, we will start with introduction to organizations today, and then we will talk about supervisory organization. In tomorrow's session, supervisory organization, hierarchy structure, and then we will talk about locations and on. This is a detailed agenda. I want you to keep the link handy. This will have all the 30 sessions and the agenda for all the 30 sessions. Now, what is important for this document is that next to each of these topics, there is the additional material or the prep work that I want you to do before each class. These consists of some videos from YouTube. These are very small videos, 5 to 6 minutes. What I want you to do is I want you to go through them before each class, that you are aware the concepts that we are going to cover in the next session, and you can participate better in the class and you can relate to what we are discussing. This I want you to go through this prep work kind of every day before we start the next session. This sometimes are a prep. It is a day in advance for some of the topics, and for some of the topics, it is on the same day itself that will act as a revision of the topics that we are covering in class. All I want you to keep this document handy, if possible. Download it, save it in your drive, save it in your local computer, and then refer to this as we progress in the class. Now let's proceed to the discussion on organizations now. When I say organizations, what is the thing that comes to your mind? What do you understand by the word organization? Anything. It can be anything, just let me know what do you understand by organization. Organization or a non-profit organization. Profitable versus non-profitable. Interesting. Yes, department a department. All somebody says shitter says a company at large, a group of people working towards a goal, a group of people working towards a common goal. Interesting, yes. What else? Can a club be an organization? Just asking. Can a club be an organization? Can a labor union be an organization? Let's say, a fitness club, or maybe a group of people who meet every morning for their morning walk, can that be an organization? Yes, no. People who share the same passion for music, can that be an organization? Yes. Can be what is the underlying common factor between all these things, from a company that you mentioned to, let's say, a group of people who share the passion for music. What is the common thing between all of these different types of entities? Let's say in interest, yes, of course. The purpose, the gather. I'm getting different words, very interesting perspectives, but it is a group of people with a common purpose. Yes, Pratty, thank you for the word. It organizes workers into groups that serve a common purpose. These people are together for a common purpose. Maybe their passion for music, maybe they play a particular sport. That's why they are in a club, or that is what it defines organization. We will not equate that. Organization means a company, organization means a department. No, it does not necessarily mean that. It can mean many different things. We will take organization for the literal meaning of the term, which is a group of workers that serve a common purpose. From what this perspective, we are mostly concerned with workers who belong to a particular enterprise can be profitable. Organization can be a non-profit organization, but we are mostly concerned with workers who are part of an enterprise. That's why we will say an organization is something that organizes workers into groups that serve a common purpose. Now, in your organization, in the entity, in the enterprise that you work for, what are some of the different groupings that you may have seen? One is department. Let me give you an example. One is a department where you are grouped into. Now, what is that department and what is the basis of that grouping? What is the basis of that grouping in the department? Functional based on functional. The functionality that you bring in based on the type of work that you are doing. Let's say you put it that way. Let's say you are in the IT support. You are supporting the IT applications. You are in the IT support department. Somebody is doing sales. They are in the sales department. Somebody is in the marketing. Somebody is into leadership management. Somebody is doing work of human resources. They are managing the human resources. They are in the HR department. Depends on the type of work that people are doing. Based on that, they have been grouped together into individual departments. Correct? How? What else can be the grouping of these workers? One is department. What else? Maybe location, maybe location. Correct. Yes, location can be a way to group the employees. All employees of Bangalore. All workers of Bangalore. They are together. The workers in Bangalore may be from different Departments, some may be from the sales, or maybe recruiting, some may be human resources, some management, but they share the common thing. That is that they are all located in Bangalore. Correct? Yes, that can be a way of grouping workers a location. What else? Unions responsibly. Unions responsibilities. It's definitely yes, definitely yes. Now when you say responsibilities, can you elaborate more on responsibilities? It's designations that managers, senior managers, you may want to group them together. Yes, maybe all managers are part of a particular. But how do you do that in a typical? I think it can be, say, grade-wise. Hierarchy. But we will talk about that. Or I'll take it as a hierarchy, but we will talk about it again. But I'm just what? I just want you to give me examples from your organization that you have for a legal entity. Now, what is a legal entity? Now, basically that I work for Credit Suisse, we have several legal entities, but for the location that I am there, we segregate the joiners as credits with securities or credits with services. Services and securities are two different legal entities that we work across. When you say legal entities, I'm assuming that this legal entity has a legal entity. They have been registered as a legal entity in their country of operation. Is that the way to put it? Securities, let's say you are in India. There is a division, a legal entity credit, Swiss Securities India Private Limited, something that. And then there may be the other one, maybe the operations. It can be Credit Suisse Operations, India Private Limited, something that. Maybe it's a registered legal entity, registered in the books of the government. That's why it's a legal entity because it has a physical or a legal existence, that organization. The securities one has a legal existence. Correct, and maybe it files, it submits taxes and all. Can we equate that to a company? Because the company also has a legal existence. Is it the same as a company? I mean, it may not be, but just asking Shweta, is that a company? Not. Exactly, because each Credit Suisse will have different legal entities. Now the same two legal entities are existing in Raleigh and New York, but the same don't exist in Poland and the Switzerland. Location. In Workday we call company as a legal entity. That's why. I was asking, a company in Workday is equivalent to a legal entity. For your just a heads up that we will see this term again. Anyway, coming back to the discussion, a company can also be used to group the workers together. A company is the one which is. We will see that it's a legal entity and the company is where your payroll is stacked. The worker's payroll is stacked to that particular entity. People who are part of a company are again grouped together into an organization. Now, is it possible for an employee to be member of different organizations of different types? Is it possible? But is it possible that one worker is part of different organizations of the same type? No, you're part of two departments. You're part of two companies, two locations at the same time. Not possible, let's understand. But this is a very, very important point that we need to understand. You see an organization. typically represents how the work is done and how the workforce is structured. That is the main purpose of an organization, and it can serve many other purposes. And it is used across the entire platform. Across the entire Workday platform, it is used. Now, many other purposes when we say we can use the organizations for our reporting purposes. When we need to understand which are the Workday workers in our London location, which are the workers in our Bangalore location, we'll create a report and we will get a list of all the workers there. It makes it easy for us to create reports based on organizations. It also serves a lot of purpose when we want to give a special allowance to people in a certain organization. Let's say for the credit suite securities team, we want to give a special allowance since they are already grouped together as an organization. It makes it easy for the compensation team to identify the group of people who are part of that particular organization and give them a special pay. The moment the workers are grouped together, they form an entity called an organization. And it is useful to take actions on that organization because that will impact all the workers there. That is the whole purpose of grouping together workers. Because in a large organization, if you have hundreds and thousands of employees, it is difficult to individually design or give anything to individual workers. Rather, if you group them together and form organizations or groups, then it is easy to manage the entire workforce. That is why we need organizations, and the point that I mentioned that workers are tied to multiple independent organization types, each with a different purpose. Now you can be part of a department, a company, a location, a call center, a region, etc. Different types of organizations. But can you as an employee be part of two different departments at the same time? Typically, no. Typically. There are instances where you may be, but typically no. You're not part of two companies at the same time. You see, in this diagram also one worker can be categorized in a supervisory kind of organization, in a cost center, in a region, in a company, and on. And there can be an overlap. When we say, let's say, people in a location, in the location Bangalore, or maybe in the location New York, are all the people in New York, are all of them from the same department? Not necessary. Not necessarily. They don't have to be from the same department. But still they are part of the same location. There is an overlap. A person from sales is in New York. A person from HR is in New York. A person from IT is in New York. Now, does it mean that entire sales team is in New York? Maybe, may not be. The sales team may be present in other locations. As you see, it is a complex overlap of different types of organizations. If you look at a worker's point of view, one worker can be a member of multiple independent organizations types, each with a different purpose. Or let's go into Workday. Let's see this for ourselves. About how we typically see the organizations. Let me move. Yes, you have. Somebody has a question. No, or let me. Going to Workday, it keeps signing up. Let me sign back in, and then we will see this for our sets. We will look at some workers and we will see the organizations that they are part of. I want you two to be able to identify, and then we will look at the different groupings. That we have just to understand this point better. After you log in, what do we need to do to start doing our work after we log in? I mentioned something you need to start the proxy. For everybody who was not there, yesterday who were not there, we will the moment we log in. The system. This is how the system looks the moment you log in. There will be a search bar in the top middle of your screen, the tasks that we do, the reports that we run, the objects that we do everything. We will search and then execute. In Workday, we do not have a traditional menu-based approach. We do not have that. We do not need to remember a lot of menus. All we will search for tasks, we will search for it, and then we'll do the particular action. There will be menus, of course there are menus, but we mainly the tasks that we will do. We have to search using the search bar. The first task that we are going to do is we will become somebody as Logan McNeil. We will do our actions as Logan McNeil as part of this training. The moment we log in, we go to the search bar and we will start typing start proxy. Start proxy, and then we will click on this start proxy. That will open up this particular screen which says start proxy. Now you will proxy as Logan McNeil, or you can also type L McNeil. This is what I did. You see L McNeil. All L McNeil stands for Logan McNeil and press enter. We'll search for Logan McNeil. Once you have the name, click on all. It will refresh and then it will say on behalf of Logan McNeil on the top. Hand left of your screen, it will say on behalf of Logan McNeil, and there will be this black ribbon at the top, and you will see Logan's picture on the top of your screen. Now let me give you a quick background as to why we are doing this. Why is it important? Do we do this always? We are using a system that is called as the global modern services tenant or a GMS tenant. You will hear this term over and over again, a GMS or a global modern services tenant. Now what that means is, this is a training and demonstration environment where we have the data for a fictitious company called Global Modern Services, preloaded. Logan is an employee. That particular organization, and she is the vice president of HR, and she has all the permission. She has the permissions to do everything, all the tasks that we are going to see, all the reports that we are going to run. Logan has the access for everything. That's why we use her ID to do and learn about the tasks. All otherwise the tasks are restricted by access. If we proxy as someone else, we will not be able to see those other tasks. That's why we proxy as Logan in the real environment. When we do our work for a different company, a customer organization there, we will not see Logan McNeil there. We will see real employees based on that particular organization, whoever is a partner or a security administrator of that particular company. This tenant, this system has the data loaded, the employees are loaded. If I mean loaded means they're all already present in this particular tenant. If you want to see something, if you want to run some scenarios, do some testing, we already have data available. That's why we use it for our training and demonstration purposes. Got it? This tenant is called a global modern services tenant or a GMS tenant. You may hear people saying, oh, log into the GMS tenant and do this, log into this GMS tenant and perform this activity. Whenever it says GMS standard, it means a training and demonstration tenant for global modern services company. All now. Here we have at the moment you log in it. If you are already logged in as login, if you are logging in and you see that says welcome Logan McNeil, or it says, or you see her picture on the top, then you don't need to do anything. You can start doing your activities. But if you are logged in as somebody else, you need to start the proxy. You need to start proxy in the search bar and proxy as Logan, all. Now let's search for a worker called Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo, I hope. He said no, not there. Let's search for Jack Taylor. What is happening? We have other people anyway. No problem, let's go for it. Let's say Jack. Martin, you're going for this worker called Jack Martin. Now can you tell me, what is the position, or let's say, what is the job profile for this particular worker, Jack Martin, Customer Service Associate? What is the location? New York. New York is New York. And if I click on the actions of this particular worker, in Workday for everything, we will click on actions and we will go to something called as organization. Let me click on organization. All system is a bit different. Let's go to one second. Let's go to this one, supervisory organization. It says test hire support. Let me click on the supervisory organization. Now, if I do that, it has this member, that is Jack Martin. Jack Martin is a member of this supervisory organization called Test Hire Support. Now, if I click on the location, New York 1. To be more precise, if I click on New York 1, and then if I click on members, how many employees are there in this particular location? How many workers are there? 49. You see, 49 members are part of this New York 1 location. Are all of them part of the same supervisory organization? No different. Let's say Andrea Sutton. She's part of Capex's. Anna Jenkins is operations, Ben Harris is DJX's, and on. And each worker is part of a different organization. I mean different department or supervisory organization. Correct. They're not the same, but they are part of the same location, isn't it? They're part of the same location. Let's look at any other worker. Let's say Carol Hill. Let's look at Carol Hill. Now, if we go back to Carol Hill, you see that her location is New York, but let's try to find out which organization she is part of. If I go to let me go to worker history. She was hired. Just let me check a few things, because this tenant seems to be a bit different. When I say a bit different, there may be some issues with Logan's access for this particular tenant. Just give me 1 second. every click on job, or if I go to job, and then if I go organizations, I went to organizations. You see that this worker Carol Hill is part of this particular organization, and this organization type is supervisory. Now let me see if I can go to executive management. Now I will look at Teresa Serrano, or let's go to Melissa Martin. I'm just looking at some random workers. Melissa Martin, and then I will go to job and I will look at the organizations that she's part of. Now can you tell me what is the company that Melissa Martin is part? Global Modern Services. Global Modern Services USA. That is the company that she is part of. Now, what is the region that she's part of? Headquarters corporate, and what is this? The department or the supervisory organization that she is a part of. That's executive management. You see the same worker is part of different types of organizations. She is part of a company, hierarchy, location hierarchy, a region, a supervisory organization, a regional hierarchy, and on. The same worker can be a part of different types of organization, each with a different purpose. Krish, how do you? Supervisory organization different from company. We will talk about that. Start talking about each of these organizations in detail from tomorrow. These are different ways of grouping the workers. A location is one way of grouping, a region is one way of grouping, a supervisory is one way of grouping. They're all different ways of organizing your workers. We will talk about that in the next few sessions. A supervisory is more or less equivalent to a department. I will not say is equal to a department. It is more or less similar to a department. A company is a legal entity, different purposes, but they serve the same underlying functionality in that they are to group together the workforce into different smaller groupings. Now, Shweta asks, what is the tenant? A tenant is an instance of the Workday system. It is a standalone system where you have your company's information that we will configure and use for our specific purposes. All it is a dedicated instance of Workday. Got it? It's a dedicated instance of Workday now. When you hear the word tenant, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Who is a tenant, or what is a tenant? Or basically, when we rent a house, the person who's renting the house is tenant. That's what comes. It's called a tenant. As a tenant, what are you getting? You are getting the permission to use that particular property for a period of time. Is that? What is that? What happens here? Also, it is the same thing. The companies who are subscribing to Workday, they pay a subscription fees, kind of the rent, and they get the permission to use the tenant for a period of time. The moment they think that I do not need it anymore, they give it up. They recycles it and gives it to somebody else. All that is why you call it as tenant. Now you might be wondering, I have all my confidential data, let's say worker information, sys in its other, then what if I give up my tenant? Will work to give the same tenant to somebody else? The answer is no. It's Just an instance. The moment you give up your subscription, they will clear it off, delete it. Create a new one, give it to somebody else, but the basic functionality is, since you are paying the subscription fees, you are getting the authority to use this particular system for a different period of time. That is why what they calls it as a tenant, and another thing as a tenant. When you move into a house, what are the things you can do? You can bring in your own furniture. In most of the cases, you can bring in your own furniture. You can decorate your house or the property that you are getting as per your wishes. You can put up your pictures. You can maybe put in your curtains of furniture as per your taste and as per the layout of the house. You can do that, but can you change the location of the windows? No, you cannot. Can you change whether the toilets are, or can you change where the kitchen is? You move it from the east side to the west side. Can you do that? We cannot make any structural changes. If you are a tenant, very rightly said, you cannot make any structural changes to the overall property. You have to, and also if the house is up in a part of a society, you have to abide by certain rules of that society. Let's say, no loud music. In some properties, pets are not allowed, and on. There are some rules of the society. You have to abide by that. Why am I saying all these things? The things are in Workday, Workday operates in a certain manner. That is what we will cover as part of this training. We will understand how Workday works. That's what will help us to be able to configure Workday as per our business requirements. What? They will allow you to do something. You can create your own organizations, create your configurations, locations, hire workers and on, but you cannot make structural changes to the way Workday operates. You have to use a supervisory organization to hire workers. That is a given you have. To do that, you cannot you cannot change that there you have to hire workers in the supervisory organization. That is something that it has to be done the way the reports are written. The way the locations are created is standard across all the systems, all over the world, different companies, doesn't matter. The way Workday works is going to be the same. That's why Workday again calls it a tenant, because as a tenant you are, suppose you can do a few things. You can do customization as per your requirements, but to a certain extent. You cannot change the way Workday operates. Clear about what is it? A GMS tenant or a GMS instance is a dedicated tenant where you have on training data. It has the data loaded for, I said, global Modern Services Inc. You see the company here, Global Modern Services. It has the data loaded for that company, and we will use that as reference. We can create our own organization. You see, many people have created location hierarchies and on. We will create our own organizations, but we will continue to use the data for global model services for our training and demonstration purposes. All now let's go to this particular organization, which is the executive management group. Now, if I go to the related actions of this particular organization, you see for every single thing in this particular screen, they are in blue color and blue color. We know from our browsing and in Internet Explorer and Safari and etc. If it's something in blue color, that means it is a link. You can click on it and do some action here also. It's the same thing. If it is a blue color, you see the moment I move my mouse pointer next to it, it changes and it gets underlined, just a link. You can click on it and you can navigate to that particular object. Let's say I want to see more details about this particular position. I can click on this position, and as we get into it, let me do that. I can click and see this in a new tab. This is the best practice whenever you are opening up a link. Try to do it this click open. See in a new tab. What that will allow you is you will not lose your present screen. You can continue to be in the screen and you can open it up in a new tab. Otherwise, you have to keep going back and forth. Not a very good way of navigation. If you want to open something, click and open in a new tab. You see the moment Let me close this for each and every object. The moment I am moving my mouse next to it, you see this orange color dot appearing. Is orange box with 3 dots. Yes, it appears. You see, typically it doesn't appear, but if I move my mouse pointer next to an object, it appears initially white with 3 dots, and then if I highlight it, it turns orange with 3 dots. This we call it as a related actions. We will click on this and you see a whole menu of options will appear. The different things that you can perform on this particular object for each of the objects, each of these links depending on the type of object that it is. It will give you some options, you see, for this particular thing, the phone number. It gives me only 3 options for let's say a location of San Francisco. It gives me a few more options depending on the type of object that we have and depending on your access levels, whatever you are authorized to, you will see the options and we can take some action. We can do some activities straight away from here. We don't need to type a task and do something if you are seeing it on the screen. If you are allowed to do it, you will be able to take some action. We will see this as and when we do our work, we will use a lot of this really. Actions functionality. This helps navigate the system much faster and very easily. That's why people love working, because of the ease of navigation, ease of taking actions. Let's say I want to take some action on San Francisco. I don't have to search for the location and do it. I can just do it from here itself. That's the power of a Workday. All now here also in the Executive Management Group. This is a supervisory organization. The type of organization is supervisory. If I go to the related actions, I will be able to see the hierarchy. The navigate hierarchy. I can see who reports to whom kind of structure. You see executive management, and under executive management there are other organizations. Finance and administration, global, human resources, information technology operations, sales and marketing. There are different types of organizations that are reporting to the executive management group. I can navigate. Let's say I want to go and dive deep into finance and administration. I can click on this tile and then it will show me the different organizations that are subordinates of finance in it. What are the different organizations? Financial planning and analysis, legal, office of the controller, risk management, and again, office of the controller. If I drill down further, you would see that there is a corporate accounting and a CC reporting. These are some of the different departments which are reporting or rolling up to finance and administration. What about, let's say, human resources? If I drill down into human resources, under human resources you have many wealth of knowledge, services, benefits. What about payroll, recruiting, They're all different departments that are all rolling up to human resources. This is how we can view the hierarchy of the organization. We will again see this when we do each and every individual organization type. But today I just wanted to show you that an organization is something that exists in Workday, and within an organization there are many workers that are grouped together. Now we are looking at a supervisory kind of organization. Executive management are all the people in executive management based in the same location. No, Barbara is in Chicago. Logan is in San Fran, Melissa Martin is in Boston, and on. It goes back to our point that workers are tied to multiple independent organization types, each with a different purpose. And there can be an overlap of workers in the different organization. It doesn't have to be that all workers in the supervisory are part of the same company. All workers in the supervisory are part of the same location. No, there can be an overlap. I would let this point to sink in before I proceed further. Any questions in this particular point? Krish, in the previous organization structure, you mentioned different names and all of these. Them were reporting to Logan McNeil. It doesn't that conflict the statement that the same local organization hierarchy, that yes, something is messed up in this particular system. Somebody has made some changes to it. Typically, that is not how organizations are structured in each and every department. We will have a separate manager. We will create our structure. They are there. It will become a bit more clear when we create our own hierarchical structure. Somebody has messed up with this hierarchy. We would be too concerned about this. Now we'll create our own hierarchy. No words. You said GMS is the system that we use here. What are the other systems that typically use other than GMS for training purposes? There are typically, I would say, 1, 2, 4, 3. 3 different that we count. One is Global Modern Services that we are using this tenant. There is another one that is called Alma Mater University or AMU that is typically used for Workday's university customers. There are a lot of universities who have implemented Workday. For the training purposes, a tenant called AMU is used. Alma Mater Universe, that is also a fictitious university, and the data for that university is present in the tenant. And then there is another tenant designed, a training tenant designed for Workday's government. Customers, your municipalities, your different departments within a government. Maybe the defense or maybe the public utility, the healthcare. For them, there is a special kind of tenant that is called the GOV or the Green Oak Valley. That is again very similar to Global Modern Services, but it has the organizations itself, which are more in line with the government organizations. Those are 2 other kind of training tenants that we have. And Alma Mater University and Green Oak Valley. These are training tenants. But apart from that, there are, when we talk with customers, there will be different tenants. There is a video in YouTube. I'll give you the link and you need to go through that to understand what are the different types of tenants that we will see in the real world. What is the production tenant? What is an implementation tenant? What is a sandbox? What is the sandbox preview? You will get to know more about those terms. But we will talk about that later. Cross the bridge when it comes not. Now we are just starting our journey in Workday. We are looking at the look and feel of the system. We are understanding some of them. Basically, I will tell you all those things in all. Then let's start the discussion on one new topic, that is reorganization. Now, what is the reorganization? A reorganization event, a reorganization first of all, is an event. It is not an organization, it is just an event. We will use this reorganization event to group together some common tasks whenever we would start creating our organizations, etc. We will need to have a reorganization. Even now, this reorganization event is only used to group together. But reorganization activities with the common effective date into one single event. Event, let's say you are creating a new company. Why are you creating it? Maybe you are expanding into a new line of business, correct? That might be the reason that you are creating a reorganization, a new company, or maybe you are expanding into a new country. You're starting operations in a new country. That's why you are creating a new company. Correct? That reason is equivalent to your event. All the activities that will happen, the structural changes that you are going to do in the organizational structure changes. You are going to create new organizations. You are going to delete lead organizations, or maybe you are going to move them. Move the hierarchical structure here and there. All of that needs to be tagged to a reorganization event. The following activities will use a reorganization whenever we are creating a new organization. We need to specify the reorganization event, because eventually it is going to group them all together for auditing and reporting purposes whenever we are including a subordinate organization into an existing organization. Let's say you have a sales and distribution department. You are adding a new department called sales and distribution now New York, or a sales and distribution for California. You're adding a new department under the sales and distribution department. If you want to do that, you have to use a reorganization event. If you are moving retirees from your active department to a retired department that needs a reorganization. Now, other maintenance activities, if you change the name, if you change the location of another department, if you hire a worker into a department, those don't need a reorganization. Whenever you are creating a new organization, you need to specify the reorganization task. Let's create a reorganization. The task to create a reorganization is create a org, create reorganization. We will use this reorganization for all the activities that we are going to do. Going forward, let's give it a name. Let's give our group a name. What do you do? What would you to call yourselves? This group of people the group of participants. Give yourself a name, a team name. Avengers, Phoenix, Mavericks. Trainees, trains. That's too generic. Give yourself a more fancier name. We work. Is that work? Is that what you said? We work. You all agree that. Agree to this. That I lock it, as they say. I will use the effective date as the 7th of March because that is the time, that is the date in the system. As of now, you can choose any reorganization date. We can also choose the 1st of January. This is the day that changes are going to be effective. It can be 1st of January 2023 as that is absolutely fine. The reorganization date can be in the past, can be today's date, it can be in the future as it is the date when you want the changes to be effective. Let's say that we want 03/07/2022. This is the day that our classes have started. Let's say we work, or we will call ourselves. We work for EW. That is a prefix that we will use, and we will say this is for the we work group. All organizations, objects will be created with this we are. Whenever we are going to create a new organization, it will prompt. For reorg, we will unmuted everybody. Now let's click on. The moment we do that, that's it. We have created a reorganization event. It's as simple as that. But the thing is, the moment we start creating our organizations, which we will do from tomorrow, let's say I want to create supervisory organization. If I want to create one, it will prompt me for the reorganization. It will prompt me for the reorganization. But thankfully, we have created a reorganization called WeWork. If I want to see it, I can see it using edit reorganization. We can search for the one that we created. Here it is. WeWork. This is a reorganization again. A quick revision. What is a reorganization? It is an event. It is an event. It's a tag that you can use to group together the different reorganization activities. And what are the reorganization activities? When we create a new organization, when we change the organization structure, when we assign workers to a custom, or when we move retirees, those activities will use a reorganization event. Other organization activities will not be a reorganization activity, and they would not need reorganization. We just wanted to let this that when we start creating supervisory organizations tomorrow, you are all able to use a reorganization task and reorganization event. What happens if we don't create a reorganization? I mean, we have to do a supervisor. Let's say you did not create one and then you start working. Let's say let me do another one. Let me say create company. A different type of organization. Don't get confused. I'm just showing that if you try to create a company, it will prompt you for the reorganization. But then let's say we haven't created it. We have it. What we can do is just click on this field. It will prompt you for the drop down. And do you see something called create reorganization? You have the option to create it from here, as you can create it. If you click on that, it takes you to the same page. Let's say we say it this, we work 2 and give it a date. 7th of March. You see, now it was created and it is automatically selected. You can create it this, no problem. Or what in case I forgot to create the reorganization and I started working, can I come back again? You cannot, you have to, without specifying the reorganization. You cannot proceed, it's a mandatory. You have to give it. Either you use some from your fast we work to you, use some of these, or you create one. Now, every time you create an organization, you do not need to create a new reorganization. Because you are creating this organization structure because of some changes to your organization. Let's say your company is doing an expansion project. As part of that, you are creating a company, some locations, some regions, etc. That is the region you are creating those different objects, isn't it? For each different supervisory organization of your organization, you are creating a new, each different company. You are not going to create a new reorganization. Please make a note of that. We will use the same reorganization for all the tasks with the same effective date. All as long as things are with the same effective date, we will not require to create a new reorganization. Don't just create a reorg just for the sake of it. Not needed the whole. Purpose of using a reorganization is to group together all the similar activities in one single place for viewing and auditing and voting purposes. If we have different reorgs, then what's the point? Create one organization as part of your activities and use that for all of your hands on when you are going to do it. It is mentioned in your handbook as that you have to. You have to use your existing reward now. What I will do is I will rename the we work to. Because otherwise what will happen? Every time I search for we work, the we work to will always keep coming. Let me change the name. Let me delete this if you want. Let me try to do that. There is no delete reorg. There is no delete reorg. We can either delete. Sometimes I asked, is that sometimes? Example, in the organization, we have started with a new location, new store I have created myself. That one store name as our work location, organization. Somebody also already edited and they have created. I have not noticed at that time. What will happen? You created another one with the same name. Let's say somebody already has it. Will show up as two different objects. It will show up as two different objects. I create a New York location. You also create a New York location. You didn't realize that I have already created one and you create another one. That will be two relogs. In that case, the duplication work will have a show no. It will exist as two different organizations, two different objects. I will continue my question. I have created New York location 1 and somebody of my colleague has also created. He has a map to some few employees, 10 members. I have also some rapid 10 and class when I download for new application, employee. Details, it will show 20, correct? That is the duplication again. If I want to remove that, you cannot remove that. You can inactivate that. You can mark it as use. That is what you can do, but you cannot delete that. Now, this thing doesn't happen in the real environment because it is controlled. Who is creating it? And then there are tasks given to each one of you. You and your colleague would not be given the task to create two new locations. As part of the training, yes, 20 people will be given the same task. You all will be doing the same thing. But in the real world, no, that doesn't happen. Because I have experienced it in past company with dormant box. Actually, what will happen now? Admin kind of people in the company directly ahead will not be having this kind of access. Normally the people who is handle this kind of cases, any employee issues, early. I have got updated. Let's leave data instead of I have got updated for last week. Attendance is not marked properly. This kind of issues will not be able to handle with the head. That is what they will. Give it to all the rights to admin level people. There will be one or two admins. Always will be there because as it were there, they will work in the shift. Why is it will be different? There will be 2 employees. In that case, it will happen. In that case, what happens is depends on the task that got duplicated. We may be able to undo it. We may be able to undo it, but everything cannot be deleted. There are some objects that can be deleted, but this object's your supervisory organization. A company itself, these cannot be deleted, they can be inactivated. Sorry, how do we inactivate? You go to related actions. Let's say I want to inactivate this. I will go to the reorganization and I have the option to inactivate. The organization got it. But I said not all objects will have this option. It depends, it varies from object type to object type. Depending on the object type, you may be able to delete, you may be able to inactivate. It depends on something for some work. For some things, you may be able to undo the action, as we will talk about that. When we do business process, the action is called a resend. We may be able to resend some of the tasks that we did. Depends on what you did. We may be able to undo it, but it's difficult to prevent duplicates that we just want to everyone else say yes. Reorg is visible to everybody who has access to create a reorg. Yes, it is visible. I have one more question. Example you are starting with reorganization. Because now we don't know about completely Workday, what it is, how it works. We are starting now. Why we are starting directly with a reorganization instead of organization? Because the example the company I am purchasing today, the Workday for my company. From the starting day, how it works from the day. From that point of time, I think we need to start now. I didn't understand why we are starting reorganizing. Obviously, let's say you have purchased, you have subscribed to Workday. What is the first thing you will create in Workday? How about whatever the example, how we need the company, you will create your company first. Mohan, let's say you are ABC company, you will create your company. You will you want to leave your mark on the tenant that this is my company. You will create a company. Correct. Try doing that. What does it ask you? Organization. That's what we did. No, I understand. Correct. This point I have clearly understand. But why we are calling it as reorganization instead of organization? That is what work that does. I said reorganization is not an organization type, it is an event. It is an event, it is a reason that you are creating that organization structure. It is a reason that you are creating the company. Why are you creating the company? Why are you using the company? Maybe because it is an expansion project, it's a new implementation. That's why you are. That's why you are creating the company object in Workday. Is it got it? Subscribe to Workday now. Now you are migrating from your legacy HCM application, whatever it might be, PeopleSoft or a CP or it's say, you are migrating that to Workday now. Now, the moment you start creating your organization objects, it will be You will be prompted, why are you creating this? What is the reorganization event? You are saying, it's a new implementation. You can call it as new implementation, a Workday migration project. That would be the name of your reorg. The reason we gave rework is because we want to group all the activities that we are going to do in this particular day. That is why we named it that. That we will always use it when we create a new company, a new department, a new location, etc. Whenever we are doing it, we will keep using the same reorganization. That's why I gave it that particular name. Reorganization is the same. Not is not an organization, it is an event. What is the criteria to? Select the date in the reel. Yes, this is the date that you change. You want the changes to be effective. Let's say you are going to start a new company, or you are going to acquire a new company with an effective date of 1st of June, but you are doing it is in the works. You are doing the paperwork, etc. But that this new company will be launched or maybe merged with the existing organization on the 1st of June, that is the date you are targeting. That is the date from which these changes need to be effective. But that is the date that we will use in the row. You are launching a new company. You are doing the paperwork, etc. You are filing for the legal process, etc. This company will be launched, let's say on the 1st of April. That is the date 1st of April. Today we will focus on supervisory organizations. Supervisory organizations, they are absolutely required because they're one of the core concepts of Workday HCM. Supervisory organizations are absolutely required in Workday because all workers are hired into a supervisory organizations. This is the base for hiring workers, and without hiring workers, you will not be able to bring in workers. And Workday is an HCM product. It is all about workers and the different components related to the workers. But that's why supervisory organizations are absolutely critical and fundamental to work that. Workday HCM. Now what do they do? What do they do? What are supervisory organizations? All about supervisory organizations are used to group the workers into a management hierarchy to specify who reports to whom. That's all. It says who reports to whom. Now supervisory organizations can report to one another to form a supervisory organization. Hierarchy. I will show you a graphic in the next page that will explain this topic, and each supervisory organization has one and only one superior organization. It has one superior organization, but one supervisory organization can have many subordinates. The supervisory organizations will report to one another to form the supervisory organization. Hierarchy, and each supervisory organization has one and only one superior or parent organization. All, and it provides the context for staffing actions. This point mean that we will hire workers in a supervisory organization. We will not hire workers in a company organization. We will not hire workers in a location or etc. Those will be associated with the workers at the time of hiring. Now the point is we will initiate the hiring from a supervisory organization and the workers will belong to a supervisory organization. The other types of organizations are not that important, but supervisory organization is absolutely critical. Workers have to be hired in a supervisory organization. This is a common interview question, and even for configuration, we will always have to keep this in mind. Now, let's talk about some other parameters of a supervisory organization. Let's say each worker is a member of a supervisory organization. Each worker has to be a member of some supervisory organization. You have to account for all the workers in the organization they have to be a member of. At least, of some supervisory organization or the other. You cannot have a worker without a supervisory organization. Now, let's think about the different or maybe the newcomers, the college grads that companies hire, and then they say that we don't know what to do with them. Yet, because we have requirements in different individual departments based on the training, based on the current requirement, we will allocate them different departments. That's what happens. Then, how do you handle all those new hires or campus hires or freshers? How do you handle them? In which supervisory organization are they a part of now? But still we need to hire them in a supervisory organization. What you are saying is, maybe based on their qualifications, we already have an idea which department they are going to go. Maybe we tag them to those supervisory organizations directly. Yes, that can be an option. They can be part of the training. We can create a separate department training or maybe graduate hires campus hires, whatever they call them. We can create a separate organization, a supervisory organization for campus hires, and as long as they are in the training program, we make them a part of that once their training is done. Once they are actually getting assigned to the individual departments, we can transfer them, we can move them later. But the point is, each worker is a member of a supervisory organ. They have to be. Without being a member, we cannot see the employee's record in the system they have. To be a member of a supervisory organization. Now, what do you think happens to the manager? Is the manager part of the same group? Is the manager part of the same supervisory organization? That he or she manages a manager in the role that is assigned to a supervisory organization, but the manager is not a member of the organization that they manage. Now you may say that I am part of the IT team, my manager is also part of the IT team, manager is a member. But in Workday, the way we structure them is different. A manager is not a member of the organization that they manage. That's why we say the supervisory organization is not equal to the department. It is similar, but it is not equal to the department. All the manager sits at a different level than the organization that they manage. It is mostly to do with the security access. If the manager is part of the same organization that they manage, then it will be a security nightmare. We will not be able to give that manager the special set of access that he needs to perform his or her duties as manager. A manager is not a member of the organization that they manage. Let's look at this organization structure here. We have an organization called Global Support Center. And who are the members of Global Support Center? Who all belong to the Global Support Center. People are part of the Global Support Center. Correct. Now, who is the manager of Global Support Center? Susan is the manager of Global Support, but is Susan a part of or is Susan a member of Global Support? Susan is part of what Susan is a member of, which supervisory of Susan is a member of operations. And who is the manager of operations? Max is a Manager of operations. What is Max? A member of operations. Max is a part of executive management, but he manages operations. He also manages other departments, as maybe we don't know from this traffic, but he may be managing other departments but he manages operations for sure, because we know that for a fact from this diagram. He manages operations, but he himself is not a part of operations. Similarly, Susan Steinberg manages global support center, but Susan herself is not a part of global support. What about James Brooks? He's a part of operations. He's a member of operations, but which organization does he manage? R&D, we don't see the structure yet, but I mean in this diagram. But James Brooks is the manager of R&D. If there is a separate supervisory organization, let's say with some members in it, that is named as R&D, and that is being managed by James Brooks. You see that all the different managers, James Brooks, Susan Steinberg, they are all part of one operator, the one supervisory organizations, but they themselves are managers of different. If I want to draw the complete hierarchy, maybe under James Brooks, there will be another supervisory organization, correct? We will call it as R&D, and there will be different people as part of that particular organization. This is how typically an organization chart or organization hierarchy looks. There will be people in one department. They will report to one manager, and those managers will also report to another manager, and then it goes up. And then let me ask you this: a manager is not a member of the organization they manage. Then what about the CEO? What about the CEO? We are saying that each worker is a member of a supervisory organization. Everybody has to be a part of a supervisory organization, including the CEO, all the workers, etc. And we are also saying a manager is not a member of the organization that they manage. Then how do we? Where do we place the CEO? Let's say we have another level on top of executive management. We put in one more level, and then maybe we hired the CEO here on top of the executive management. But then who? Who is going to be the manager of this particular supervisory organization? The only exception to this rule, the rule that we mentioned, a manager is not a member of the organization they manage, that is the only exception to this rule. This rule, a manager is not a member, will hold true for the entire organization structure, except the CEO. A CEO will be a member and a manager of a supervisory organization. It's the only exception to the rule. All a supervisory organization. I will let somebody else explain this back. This kind of what do they call? Playback. Let's take an example. Sometimes an example might be useful. Let's do that. Let's say we have of course workers. Let's take the example of a few workers. Let's say Ravi, he is part of IT team. We have Megan, she's part of the IT team, and we have Venkat, part of the HR, and then we have Logan, part of HR, and then we have, let's say, Sam as part of sales, and we have another worker. Let's say Peter, part of sales. How are we going to group these workers based on the information that we see on the screen? How are we going to group these workers? Let's say that we group them by the teams or the organizations that they part of. How many? Supervisory organizations. We have one as a team, and we have another one that is sales, and we have HR who all are members of the IT team. Ravi and Megan, who all are members of sales, and Peter. Fankar and local. Now let's say we will take this further. Now take this a little bit further now. Let's say Ravi reports to Shafiq. Robbie removes to Shafi. Megan also reports to Shafi because Shafiq is the manager of ITT, and Vinkat reports to John. Logan also reports to John. And Sam reports to Meghna, and Peter also reports to being now this is. What happens? Now, in which department will Shafiq be part of the IT team? Manager is not a member of the organization. They manage VV. Have to remember, this manager is not a member of the organization that they manage. Now, coming back to this question, will Shafiq be a member of the IT team? No, we all strongly agree that Shafiq will not be a member of the IT team. Where will he sit? Maybe there is another department at the top. Someone said, maybe executive management. It said itself. There will be a different organization where we have to put Shafiq all now, maybe as of now. This information is not sufficient to place Shafiq. Let's say Shafiq is also a worker. He may be a manager of the IT, but he himself is also a worker. Let's say he's part of it. Delivery management. That is the name of the team that is part of IT delivery management, or maybe IT management, and he happens to report to Nick. Shafiq reports to me, all, and then we have other workers. John. John is part of our management. And he reports to Job. I'm running out of names, and then let's say we have Magna. Magna is part of sales management. And he reports to, and she reports to, Rob again. Rob is the manager of HR and sales. Now, how do we structure this IT management? It will say the member. It will say the member of IT. Management is Shafiq. Shafiq is a manager of IT, but he's a member. but he's a manager of IT team. Followed, good. Created one more supervisory organization called IT. Management. Shafiq is a part of it. There may be other people in that as we don't know based on this, the small sample data that we are seeing, but there may be other people here as what are the other organizations we may have to. It's management. And we are saying that the member here will be me now because Meghna is the manager of sales, and that means we have to put the information here. As much as we know, she is the manager of sales because Meghna is the manager of sales. And what else? Let me put it this way, John. Since John is the manager of her, we will put that within brackets. Just to be a bit clear, and Meghna is the manager of sales, I will just try to put it somewhere. We're running out of space. Let me put this entire thing toward the left. On the left, we have a lot of space. Let's put it towards the Meghna is the manager of sales. And what about Shafiq? Shafiq is the manager of it now. At least we are able to put everybody in the correct place. This one is looking a little bit better. All now. Going back to our slide, each worker is a member of a supervisory organization. Have we accounted for Rob? We have to put drop somewhere. Let's say a drop is part of executives. Now, where do we put Rob? Or where do we have executive as a supervisory organization? And power and the challenges and the HR, correct. Maybe some let me, just for the sake of this diagram, let me put it somewhere here, let's say executive. That will be another supervisory organization, correct, who is a member of this, based on the information that we have far. Bob and Rob happens to be the manager. Fields and HR, it means management, to be more precise, sales. Management and HR management. He is a manager of two organizations. One is sales management, one is HR management, that is mine. He's a senior leader. He's there, but is he a part of the IT management hierarchy? Based on what information we have, we are saying no. Now let me put them into boxes. I am very bad at drawing with this. Please bear with me. These are the different boxes that we have. Each box representing one supervisory organization. Yes, correct. Based on whatever information we had, can we draw a diagram this? And then here also we will have a few boxes this for executives. Management. We have two subordinates. One is sales management of HR management, and sales management has one subordinate, that is sales HR. AR management has one subordinate, that is HR. And have we accounted for all the workers as part of our list? Yes, we have followed the rule. I mean the rules that have been set out. Each worker is a member of a supervisory organization. We have accounted for that. And what else did we do? We created the there will be one more box here. Above IT management, yes, let's put Nick here. What? Let's give it a name, IT leadership. Let's put Nick somewhere. Let me create some space, but if I delete something, the entire alignment will be gone anyway. Let's assume that Nick is here. I'm just writing Nick below. Megan, he is part of the IT leadership and he reports. Steve, we have added one more worker, and then let's also add it Steve. Steve is the CEO and he reports to. He will still report to himself. Steve will report to Steve. Now in this item, in this IT leadership, who is the member of IT leadership? It is Nick. Nick happens to be the manager of IT management. This is what is about Nick. And then we have one more. Let's put it somewhere here. We have one more, that is top. Let's say we call it as ABC. Organization, ABC organization, because that may be the name of this entire organization structure. Who is a member of? That is absolutely at the top level, but the member is Steve. Steve is actually the manager of. He is actually the manager of many organizations, IT leadership, and executive. He is a manager of these two organizations. That's what we know because Steve is Rob's manager is. When this Rob also reports, should report to Steve. Let me put Rob somewhere up here. Also, reports to Steve, and who else? Nick should report to Steve. Yes, we have. Mentioned that this is IT leadership. Now we have accounted for all the workers, I believe, and who is a manager of ABC organization? Who will be the manager here? Steve is the manager and a member of the top level organization. You see how we created this organization structure based on the information that we had. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.